All right, y'all. Peace and blessings, everybody. I'm gonna send some invites out. I'm gonna send some invites out right now, and hopefully everybody is well. Yeah. Okay. Share. Right. Copy. Okay. All right. So this. Hopefully everything is good. I'm really bad with this technology, so all right. Let me send some invites out now. I hope everybody's doing good. Um, let's send some invites out. It's going to be a little discussion. Um, I wanted to have a little discussion about intersectionalities. So we're going to do that right now. And let's see. Okay, hopefully I'm doing everything right. Okay. Okay, let's see what else we got. Share. Let me share from here. All right. So today's discussion is going to be about the Akan influences in America. I'm going to cut this off in 1 second, y'all. I'll send this out. Okay. Cut this off in 1 second. Live here. All right, y'all. So sorry about the delay. I'm going to figure out a way to make this a little quicker so we can get right to it. Um, this is all brand new to me, so I'm learning this technology and trying to figure out how to get my lighting right. So hopefully everybody is having a good day. Here you go, bro. All right. Is the link in the chat, man? Let's see. Put this link in the chat. Okay. It's an Afro native, and well, then I think we'll have some agreement if you're saying Afro native. If you know the definition of that term, Afro native, because Afro native is a very specific term. So hopefully you got it. All right, so the link is in the chat now. You can tap that thing whenever you want, and we can have a little discussion. I can hear what you got to say. I'll definitely. So right today, I've been recently focused on the Akan influences. So Akan is a region. It's a culture, and it's a people group on the Gold Coast, which we call today Ghana. And they live primarily in Ghana and the Ivory Coast. So for the last couple months, on and on, I've been focused on this ethnic group in relationship to the Caribbean. And the Akan people are, yeah. So all you got is it inside the chat, man? Just tap it. So all you gotta do is just tap the button, and we can explore your knowledge on this topic. You said you're well educated, so it should be interesting and vigilant, and both sides should be engaged because you said you have a lot of knowledge on this topic. So I'm going to send it again. Hopefully, I don't know if it's sent. Looks like it's sent on my end. Let me send it again. All right. So, and if you got it, just tap that link and then jump up on here. Here we go. How you feeling, bro?
I'm doing fine. Just chilling in my natural habitat.
Well, where's that at? Where's your natural habitat?
Sacramento, California.
What is that?
Sacramento, California.
Oh, okay. All right. That's cool. That's cool.
Our family originally came from Oklahoma before we transitioned.
Okay. All right. So Oklahoma, that's a epicenter of Afro-Indigenous cultures. You know that, right? It's a lot of distinct. Because a lot of when did your family move there? Do you know anything about your history? Are you there? Can you hear me, bro? Make sure I'm live. Yeah, can you hear me? Fine on my end. Okay, definitely sent the link out. I don't know. All right, so the discussion was, I'm not sure if he's actually going to follow through, if that was an accident or if that was a technological error or whatever, but definitely sent the link in the chat. I was looking forward to a discussion. So just to say, recently we've been focused on those intersectionalities. I mean, there's a lot of intersectionalities. When people just say, you claim that you have African heritage, just go to Africa. I really want to break down the concept of Africa being this general monolith, or even West Africa being a monolith. I really want to start to have the discussion get narrow and very specific. The more specific the conversation gets, the more we're able to learn. I'm glad you joined, man. You're welcome to tap that link. I'm gonna send it in the chat. This is supposed to be it. The person that's supposed to join, I don't know what happened with him. His phone died. Okay, all right, well, that happens. So who's that? That's the original one. Afro native. So we've been talking about that word Afro recently. That word Afro has a history behind it. So there we go. Is that him? And you can join as well, original. I would love for you to join, man, because I want this to be open conversation.
Okay, I'm sorry, my phone died. I didn't have it on the charger. It's on the charger now, so my bad about that. Um, like I was saying before, our family originally came from Oklahoma in Bayan, Oklahoma. That's not even on the map anymore, but it used to be a small town out in Oklahoma that's on Indian territory. That's where my grandfather was born.
Where in where in relationship to Tulsa is that?
That would be like northeast from Tulsa.
Okay, but in
It's,
proximity
it's
or
not even that far. It's only like it's less than an hour away.
okay, okay. Is it in proximity to Tulsa or is it a distance away? Is it an hour away?
Less than an hour.
Less than okay. All right, so that's close. All right. It's a town called Boyer, right? It's something called Boyer, um, Oklahoma
I'm
as
not
well.
really familiar with Oklahoma. I only went out there when I went and got my citizenship or recognition through the tribe. As a indigenous people or whatever was going on out there, there was a cry out for them to allow us to have citizenship because they've been denied us citizenship for over 100 years, and in 2018 they just started allowing us to have native citizenship through the tribe and everything else like that. Other than that, we didn't have it. My grandfather and everyone got their social security numbers and their U.S. citizenship by joining the Air Force and the Army.
So they weren't born U.S. citizens. You're saying?
We've been here the whole time. Like I can go back and birth certificate after birth certificate, father after father after father. We've been here before there was even a United States Constitution.
And this is an interesting story. I mean, because first and foremost, um, there are intersectionalities that a lot of people don't know. And I run a history page, and I brought up the town Boyer. I might be mispronouncing it, but this had it was like a Tulsa, had a unique history. A lot of Afro-Indigenous members in that community. A lot of people, some people did lie about their tribal status in order to attain land when they moved westward. But it was just a
You're
lot.
talking about the $5 Indians, like immigrants and people, descendants of those people that paid $5 to the Dawes Rolls Commission to put themselves as a native status. That's how they took. If you go out there to Oklahoma today, you're not going to see nobody out there that looks like me and you. You're going to see a whole
Well,
bunch of white people that claim to have like animal spirits in them and stuff like that.
so to respond to that, so that's something very specific to the southeast, right? A lot of the
They
places in
they
the southeast,
stole a lot of our lands. Like
um,
even me
a lot of
myself,
those
I'm
places in the
heir
south,
to 180 acres of land.
yeah, so a lot of those places in the southeast, like the leadership of the Cherokee and the leadership of the Choctaw, you can see a little bit of that. Over
Okay, I think that the video feed pretty much it stopped. Um,
did I,
okay,
did
are
I
you
did I go away and come back?
there? Yeah, you just came back.
All right. I lost my whole train of thought. No, I was saying that the
Okay,
people I
so
mentioned, the
the
people I
Cherokee
was,
people, we actually come from South Carolina. My grandfather's father, before we were removed off of our original lands, we came from South Carolina, which is all the way on the East Coast. But way back then, it used to all just be called Virginia.
So what I'm referencing is I was saying that a lot of the people that went to purchase that land out in Oklahoma, they were actually black people who moved west, who moved west.
That
And
would be part of the Indian Removal Act.
well, this is not during that time. This is a little after. This is a part of the westward migration of a lot of black folk. A little before Tulsa. So that's a very specific thing. A lot of those people came over as a tribe and they established a nation. These are
Mike,
people who
Mike,
came independent of that, and they were trying to get access to the land. So they often lied about their indigenous status and said they were members of the First Nation, and they weren't, but they wanted to get the land allotments. So it's a story. I'll bring that story up later. I thought you were Jamaican based on the conversation.
oh, okay, yes, 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 Jamaica.
Um,
So, from what I understand, most of the people there in Jamaica, they're descendants of. Now, you could correct me if I'm wrong. This is just my understanding, but they are original descendants of the Taínos or Taianos people that were originally there before the Spaniards even got there.
so we have a group of people. So it's the Yamie. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing the name.
But
We are
even Christopher Columbus said in his diary that when he got there, that the tribes people, they had gold tipped spears that they gave them as gifts, and they were the same gold and metal spears that were found in Africa. Now, they might be the same people and stuff like that, but even in his diaries, he says these people been here. They've been well established. They didn't just recently get here. They've been there. But, you know, Europeans, when they came to, the Americas, what did they do? They conquered everything. They threw everyone into slavery. No one really came from Africa. Like, they made slaves out of the people that was here.
all right. So let me respond to the first thing you said. So first, um, that's not something in his journals, right? So he wrote a journal highlighting each day. He came around October 9th, October 10th, and each day he wrote specific things in the journal when he arrived, and he described the people, described the food, described the interactions. That's not part of his description. That's something that's in Ivan Van Sertima's writing, right? It's secondhand. It's not. It had nothing. It's not part of Columbus's, and it was also and even within that, it's not part of the general narrative because they describe the indigenous people pretty specifically. So I mean, like I said, I'm on YouTube, so I can share all that stuff in real time. We get to
Okay.
kind of go through his journal, and he has physical descriptions of these people, right? And those physical descriptions don't coincide with us.
Were
And
they not black people though when he got there?
you also have to factor in too. He knew what black people look like because he was from the region of Italy and Portugal. So
Yeah,
Portugal at
full
that time
Moors.
had a really large black population in Lisbon. 1/10 of the city was black, so they knew what black people looked like. You can see it in their artwork, you can see it in the depictions. They knew what black people looked like in Europe. So he
Yeah,
would
the
he
Europe.
would
I
he would
mean,
have
black
rough.
people ruled over Europe for 3,000 years before they kicked all the Moors and the Islamists and all the black people out of Europe. They kicked them all out.
So that's a whole different topic, right? The 3,000 number is a little that's a big number, right? But there was a Moorish reign. There was a reign, especially in southwestern Europe, um, and to the Reconquest. And that's when he comes.
And all the way to Portugal, at least.
Yeah, so it's definitely a black presence in Europe. The problem is his diary doesn't describe black people. He also had black people who would have came on a voyage with him, right? So he could have clear. He could if people were black people, there would have been a simple point of reference. And within that, he didn't describe, he didn't compare them to the people that he was familiar with in Europe that were black, or the people on the crew that were black, because he also had
Okay,
people.
one question. Was not his own captain who drove his ship? because Christopher Columbus wasn't the captain of any ship. Like he sailed on ships, but he didn't steer the boat, he didn't navigate the boat or anything else like that. Was that not a black person that brought him over here?
It's a strong case that he was not the labor force behind it, and
Yeah.
the actual brains and actual labor is often attributed, not attributed, but a lot of scholars actually think that I personally, based on their interaction, believe that the people of the Mali Empire had an enormous influence on Portugal. So they were the earliest navigators at the time. They were the most scientifically advanced at the time. I think Portugal's interaction with those people of the Mali Empire definitely was influential in helping them become an epicenter of technology. And the
Okay.
people of Mali
Do
also had understanding of the stars. They had the first globe was created there. So I think Portugal's interaction with them helped spearhead them in terms of the journey. And like you said, they also had some of them accompanying them on the journey as well. And
exactly.
I personally conclude based on evidence that um, black black people were very significant and very influential in terms of him making it landings effectively. Like I said, I'm pro African for my people. A lot of that, like I said, they weren't attributed. They didn't get the credit that they deserve, but it's a strong case that black people were significant in that voyage.
the
But
kings of
I don't want to get
Mali,
too far from
the the kings of Mali were the first people to actually known to actually build ships way before Europeans even knew about it and even sailed the sea.
okay. So yeah, so like I don't want to shift too far from there. I kind of want to bring it back. So what really brought us here is a discussion on Jamaica, right? And
Yeah.
Jamaican history. And I'm the kind of person I would rather reference the actual sources in history.
I
So
kind of see I kind of see what they're doing with the whole thing with the Ghana and the Jamaican thing. Um I mean, that's a great
what they're
thing
doing,
because
what they doing?
we need more of our presence in the Americas. Like we need somebody that's going to uplift the black people, the indigenous black people in the Americas, like places like Ghana, Nigeria, that recognizes the heritage that we share. Yeah, we do share a heritage. People argue, well, is it here or is it in Africa? You could argue that all day. You could go around in a circle, but definitely a country like that, speaking on the behalf of the Jamaicans and stuff. I mean, what if they did that in Brazil? What if they did that in Colombia? What if they did that in Central America, North America? They're growing their presence and their influence in the Americas and attaching themselves to us because that's what we've needed for a very long time. Like we need to be more global as colored people, just like Europeans do. We need a global presence, but we need to be connected from one side to the other. And our heritage is the only thing we can do that through.
All right, so to respond to you, so I'm going to respond to that. I'd rather respond to that with the initial statement about Columbus, right? I'd rather start with a foundation. So it's important to kind of, if we're discussing, it's important to hear what he had to say about his discovery. All right, so right here I have this is the diary of Columbus, right? This is the transcript. This is what he wrote. This is what he witnessed, right? I would rather base everything on his firsthand descriptions as opposed to our inference. So
Yeah.
on Thursday, October 11th.
We're talking about the same Columbus, right? He was a Portuguese Jew that
So this
was hired by the Spanish to sail to the seas to America, right?
yeah. So this can you read it? It says Journal of Columbus, 1492, and it's about a brief description of his encounters. And it starts off on Thursday, October 11th.
Okay.
And it says, and this is I would rather just get right to his description, right? So he's visiting the islands,
Can
and
you highlight the description?
I'm gonna highlight the description, right? So I'm gonna get right to it. All right,
Yeah.
so all I saw was a youth, and then he describes them no more than 30. All right, let me highlight it. Okay, they were very handsome. And then he goes on to describe them. So no more than 30. They are all very well made, with very handsome bodies and very good countenance. Their hair is short and coarse, almost like that of a horse's tail. They wear it, and then he describes it. They wear their hair brought down to the eyebrows, except for a few locks behind which they never cut. They paint themselves black, and the color of Canarians. I'm sorry. Neither black or white, nor white. Some paint themselves with. And I'm so sorry. Some paint themselves with white, others paint themselves with other colors. And he goes on to describe their culture, and based on everything that we know, we have this. This sounds very similar to the people of the Amazon, right?
Yeah.
The people of the Amazon with their very thick, straight hair, they paint themselves red, black. I mean, the physical description sounds very, very similar to the people who still exist within the Amazon of Brazil. You familiar with the people I'm talking about, the different Amazon tribes?
Yeah, they these are people that basically they say have been untouched from human society for a long time.
I mean, and like I said, and I mean, a lot of times
helicopters over them and stuff like that, try to take pictures. I believe one person was actually killed by them with the bow and arrow.
I think that actually applies to the Sentinelese of the Indian Ocean. That's a black group. I think it was a Christian missionary, and he got too close, and they told him.
Okay, that's a different people. Okay,
that's the Indian Ocean. But this is the Amazon. They have a little bit more contact. Most of them have some very vague interaction. They may have seen Europeans in distance, or the Brazilians in distance, but they live a pretty much isolated life, separate hunter gatherers, the way they've been for thousands of years. And his physical description sounds very much like them. It's not people of the.
It does sound like them, but from what I understand, that most of the people that they call indigenous here to America, even though that they probably don't know how long they've been there, their cultural heritage actually comes from recent Spaniards and other Americas. When Christopher Columbus came here, they weren't like pitch black. Like the people weren't dark skinned black. Like think of America like it is today. We're mixed, we're mulatto, we're light skinned, we're not like black Africans.
Here's my thing. It's a lot of talking points going on right now, right? A lot of this
Negroes. They mix us all in with other Africans that came here to America, and they said, "Well, you're all Negroes."
All right, so it's a lot. So here's the thing about it. It's a lot of talking points, right? That's why I kind of wanted to go right to his journal so we could go in real time and hear what this is the first description that we have, the first interaction is documented with these people. That should be factored in everybody's reality. We should be listening to what he's saying. He's describing straight hair that's cropped right over the eyebrow, the same way the Amazon people today wear straight hair cropped over the eyebrow, short and thick like a horse's tail. That sounds like indigenous people of the Amazon who live not too far from this region. So it sounds like the people who he encountered first look like Amazonians, right? I'm going to go again.
Yeah.
And this is another part of his description. Okay, so. Okay, all right. So he said, as soon as can you see this?
Yes.
So as many other people came to the beach, all the youths I have said are of good stature. They're very handsome people. Their hair is not curly, but loose and coarse, like horsehair, and all their forehead is broad. more so than in other people. Their eyes are very beautiful and not small. They themselves are they themselves far from black, but
That's just like my hair texture. My hair is not like it's not nappy curly, but it's
oh,
coarse and straight like, horsehair.
okay. So here's the thing, bro. You got to remember this is also a Portuguese person speaking, so it's a European speaking. So he's using a European standard
Yeah.
of straight hair. So he's not only just saying that it's comparably straighter than uh, a black person, it's comparably straighter than his, right? Because Europeans also have curly hair, right? How would you describe a black person?
Yeah.
You describe that as kinky, right? I mean, it is what it is. I mean, this is his description. He's describing
Okay.
hair
So you
that is
see
not.
how my hair is?
Hold on, bro. I moved away.
Okay.
Let me,
So
let
it's
me see
not
here. I can't
kinky.
really see. It doesn't look. Hold on, bro.
Hold on. I have a cap on right now because my
All right.
hair's not done, but
Oh,
key.
my bad. Hold on, bro.
It's not. Oh yeah, I need a bigger
And
camera.
listen, bro. Look, your phenotype.
Hold
Listen,
on.
your
Let me-
phenotype looks mixed. You know that, right?
This is what they were describing. They were saying, well, yeah, they're kind of colored, but we're not
No.
black dark.
So he wasn't describing your hair texture, but I'm saying your phenotype specifically, right? You
Yes.
look Afro Indigenous.
Yeah,
You
we're
right?
melanated people that been here.
Bro, I want to let you know it's a difference, bro. I'm not stating that for nothing. I'm not telling you that for nothing. I'm pretty good with you look Afro Indigenous. So that means I see the African, and I
Hmm.
also see it looks like it could be. I could be wrong. It looks like it could be possible Indigenous. Like that's your
A
phenotype.
lot of people
Not
they think I'm either Indian from India or they
so.
think I'm from the Middle East, or they ask me, are where are you from? I'm like, well, we're Native Americans, like, from
Okay,
North
so
America.
listen. I don't tell people that out of the people I speak to, I maybe 1 out of 20, 1 out of 30 that I actually will say that to. So I'm not saying that's an
Yeah.
exception. You're an exception to the rule. You're not the rule though. You follow
Well,
me?
we come in different shades, colors, looks,
Um,
like just not just
he's
one.
describing, bro. Listen, Listen, you gotta be honest, bro. He's describing people of the Amazon.
Mm.
Like, and like I said, if we go back to the description, I mean, we just gotta be honest about what he saw. Like, I mean, what would he gain out of lying about this? I mean, this is his description. He described somebody who looked very much. Did I have to scream out? I bet. So look, is he saying that their hair is not curly, it's loose and coarse? And when they say coarse hair, they generally mean thick strands. And the people who have thick coarse hair are that's not you don't have thick coarse hair, right? By the way, right?
Right.
Um, you don't have
It's-
thick coarse straight hair. It's not that's not straight hair, right?
No.
That's not straight hair. It's straighter than most black people,
Yeah.
yes, but it's not straight hair in a big scheme of straight thick coarse hair. So that's just the reality. This is what he's seen when he witnessed his first encounter, and he went to describe them a couple times. Black people would, if anything, have kinky hair, not just curly, kinky. But he said it's not curly, right? It wasn't a lot of curl pattern. And
Mhm.
like I said, I mean, we can dismiss that as if it's nothing. A lot of people do. I don't understand why. I think it's telling about what he saw when he came here. That's not describing the average Jamaican now, bro. It's just not. The average Jamaican
I
does not.
mean, when he first landed, it wasn't in Jamaica, but those Tanos people, they moved from one island to another, all the way to Jamaica. But that's, I mean, from my understanding, I mean, my grandfather, he used to go to Jamaica every year, and the reason why, we can't help our ancestry, right? So don't judge me by this, but he was a Freemason. So my grandfather, he was a Freemason, and they would go to Jamaica every year, and they would have like a summit with all the other Black Freemasons and all the other stuff. And have their little powwows and stuff like that. But every time when they went down there, they were always talking about, the indigenous nature of people, the societies, and, what things really were. I mean, I don't know if they totally, were, trying to plot something or anything, but that's all I know about Jamaica. And I believe they still do that every year. I forgot what they call Black Freemasons. They call them Principal Freemasons. That's what they called them. But they meet up there in Jamaica every year, and have their powwows, what they call them, and stuff like that. That's a Native American term. But I mean, I don't know why else would they set that up in Jamaica every year, if it wasn't, trying to claim their independence and their native heritage to their lands. Even Jamaicans, Rastafarians, they all they talk about is being from the tribe of Judah,
All right,
which is from the Middle East, partly.
so I'm gonna share something else. I'm gonna share this right here.
We're the
Um,
tribes of Israel, and that's why Christopher Columbus brought Hebrew translators with him, because he was looking for the lost tribes.
all right, so I got like that. He didn't write that in his diary, bro. Like I said, I mean, I'm the kind of person that's pretty concrete.
And
Um, and I mean, this is what it is. I mean, so we have they're called the Yamiang, right? They
yeah,
still exist, right? I mean, and
it looks like my daughter. My daughter looks almost just like that.
I mean, so I mean, these people still exist. They had the genetic markers
Yeah,
that are exclusive to North America, along with the African heritage.
yeah.
Because everybody in Jamaica is overwhelmingly West African, right? But these groups, these people still exist to this day. I mean, and they still have a distinct look. I did a little video on it. We got to make sense of this. I mean, what is she? I mean, she's coming. Our genetic
Just
markers.
wondering, just wondering. But did you know that most indigenous tribes or people, black people, that they claim to be slaves in the Americas, they actually came from South America? Like that's where most of the Indian tribes, like the Creek, the Choctaw, the Cherokees, we come from Central and South America. We don't come from anywhere else. And when they brought most of us or our ancestors as slaves, they brought us from South America. They didn't bring us from Africa.
All right. So, like I said, I mean, this group right here, they still identify as with their culture. They still have a distinct phenotype, right?
Yeah.
We have to factor all this in, and then we also have to factor in. We have the British kept pretty good records, so we have the records of the transatlantic trade. We have it. I mean, it's not like we can sort it in real
They've
time.
kept a fair amount of records, I would say.
Well, based on now we have technology, so we have an assembly of all these records. We have, like, for instance, in Suriname, the Dutch also kept good records. So they had a whole entire book called the slave registries, where they kept literally 80,000, like, the records of 80,000 captives, and it was documented over about 30 something, almost, I think, almost 60 years. So they have the records within a national registry that you can sit. It's a physical book you can go through. The British kept a pretty good record too. They canceled they ended their importation law around 1807, around 1806. So, and the U.S. did as well, and that's another thing to me. Like, people they don't incorporate in their discussion. If there was no transatlantic slave trade, why is every country making laws to suspend the transport of African captives?
Because they've been dividing and conquering us. Like, if you think about the Americas, originally there were no borders. Like, at one point we were free to travel from the south all the way to the north. And when the European conquerors came, they divided it up and they said, this is South America, Central America, North America. You
I,
know, their usual tactics that they've been doing, and they keep on saying, well, you're this and you're that, and you know, a lot of people, they play into that type of stuff.
so I
And
was referencing something real specific, bro. So I was referencing something called the prohibition, the prohibiting of importing African slaves, or the slave abolishment laws in
yeah,
1806 and 1807, 1806 in Great Britain, 1807 in the U.S. Specific laws ending, well, in Great Britain, they pretty much ended the transatlantic slave trade altogether.
okay.
And then,
um do you believe that
hold on,
slavery really happened the
hold
way it
on,
happened
hold
in
on,
history books?
hold on, bro, hold on. So 1806, and then we also have the 1807, which is specific to the U.S. The interesting thing about that is we also have, preceding that, we also have the state. Happened on the state level. So it happened in Pennsylvania. They passed their own law suspending the importation of African captives. It was discussions about that. New York passed it. Massachusetts, all the New England states, they all passed their laws ending, suspending the importation of Africans into their country, right? African captives. It's explicit policy, like I said. So in order to end something, it has to be a common practice, right? That's just the context, right? So
Yeah, some people have bad habits that need to be quit, and it was put to an end. But slavery didn't end because, you know, white people said it ended, or these Europeans say it ended. It ended because it had to end, because if they wouldn't stop, I mean, all these slave revolts, they wouldn't even be here right now. You know, I mean, how can you proclaim through emancipation that we're free when we've been free? We already been free. Like that whole thing through the 1800s, that's just a labor dispute.
like I said, I would we still got to make sense of, like I said, building from. I'm the kind of person that's we're referencing something. We have to make sense of it, right? So we have to make
Yeah.
sense of the fact that we have the physical descriptions, right? We
Okay.
just saw a little sample, but we also have more descriptions from Columbus. And those descriptions do not incorporate us. He said they do not look like the people of Guinea. And Guinea at that time was the coast of West Africa. They do not look like the
Yeah.
people of Guinea. So there was a physical description. He said they did not have curly hair and they did not look like the people of Guinea. So he was making sure to describe them and to distinguish them, phenotypic distinction from the people of Guinea, right? And that would be, we would have a similarity to the people of Guinea. Factor in some admixture, right? So we
A
had the
little
fact
bit.
we had to factor in the fact that he said people had horsehair. Who has horsehair? It's only really two groups on the planet that have horsehair. East Asians and Native Americans are pretty much the only group of people who have that very thick, super straight hair. He's describing their hair texture, right? Straight, coarse hair is something they almost have a monopoly on. Because
Yeah.
outside of East Asia, certain regions of Siberia, and Native Americans, nobody else really possesses that hair texture, right? Europeans have kind of
Yeah.
thick, stringy hair. We don't have that hair. So it's obviously a people who have a phenotypic similarity to Native Americans. That's what he's describing. And then these societies also distinguishing the Native American population from us, right?
Yeah.
And
Because you have new Africans that came, but they've been coming. That's nothing new. Africans been coming here way before white people have been here. So yeah, you know, when even around time when Columbus came, there were new waves of immigrants still coming to the Americas.
but
But it's been like that forever. That's why we're a mixed race of people that we're described as. We look like different colors. We're just not one shade. We're just we resemble like almost all the nations in the world almost. Because not only have black people have been coming here, Indian people, Asian people have been coming here, Chinese people, white people, European, Spanish. We're all mixed up.
yeah, but now we're getting ambiguous, bro. But I kind of want this just to build off of his physical description of his early encounters, and he had a physical
Yeah.
description, like I said, and we know what that description sounds like. It sounds very similar to people at Amazon.
But that was
So,
just a few people that was here that he described.
well, I mean, so we got to factor that into the reality, right?
Yeah.
It just got to be factored into the reality. We can't. The problem is you can't say that they're not the indigenous people if that's what he saw, and then
Yeah.
And then I know people say Verrazano saw something else, but if you really read what he says, it's something very similar to what Christopher Columbus says. And all of them actually have a similar description in their journals. Whatever they wrote, it's definitely not us. Oftentimes, olive skin, copper color skin, which is not a dark skinned person. It's a red hue. So
I mean, some people
whether or
think
not
I'm Ethiopian, or they ask, "Are you Eritrean, or are you,
you,
Somalian, or something?" I'm like,
well, you have a distinct look, right? So you have a distinct look. It's some admixture. I didn't know. To me, I would suggest you get a DNA test, bro. You might find some interesting things. I don't know. I could have been wrong. I said you look like
I
you have.
mean, I did a DNA test, and it said that, yeah, we do share. I share, what is it called, 16% DNA with people in Ghana, Nigeria, the Middle East, parts of Europe, um, Japan. My grandmother, she was actually Japanese.
Okay, maybe that's what I'm
So,
seeing. I'm seeing
that's where
something
I
that
get my slanted eyes from.
that could be it. It's a width to your face. It's something distinct about your look.
Yeah.
I use it. You might not be Afro Indigenous, but it's something
But
I
my
could.
grandfather, my mother would be like, she looks like a real life Pocahontas, if she was a real person.
Okay.
Her father, they come from Cherokee people and the indigenous people of those lands. And my on my father's side, they're also Cherokee and indigenous people, but we all have our native citizenship, so we're dual citizens within the United States. We have our sovereign citizenship and, our United States citizenship, so called. But I would like to see more people, even from Central America, claim their indigenous identity rather than the government that's been given to them by European societies that they dictated and put up. Especially in Mexico, because those people could do way better than what they're doing right now, dealing with all that stuff. South America, um, Jamaica, they've been holding it down for a very long time. They've been running their own country, their own status. They've been recognized themselves as the people that's their land and everything. Barbados, they've claimed theirs. North America, we need to work on that more because there's a lot of confusion about who's who and what's what, and all the other stuff. So, I want to see that more in America, where people are claiming their indigenous status, just
I mean,
like
here's the
everybody else.
problem.
And
Here's the problem. What you're saying? Why are people claiming indigenous status if they're not indigenous?
they don't even know that they have over 180 acres of land that's even owed to them. Like most of the lands that we had, unlike other people in other parts of the Americas, a lot of our lands are misappropriated, stolen, abandoned. Like our lands, like our family's lands, 180 acres back in Oklahoma is abandoned. Like they just left it behind, and it's still sitting there growing trees and wild animals on it. And there's like 5 people that actually live on our property that don't pay no taxes, no nothing to nobody, and they're not sovereign citizens. They can't even claim to be Native Americans.
All right. I mean, so bro, like, I mean, stating you're a sovereign citizen is not
Yeah.
a sign of indigenous, right? That's uh, um
Well,
a
we have our own
status
nation.
now.
We have our own government. We have our
But
own
it's still,
laws.
it's
We have
still,
our own treaties. We have our.
but
That's
do you
what I
understand
mean
that
by
you
sovereign.
understand
Like,
that still does not mean that you're indigenous just because you state you are, right? Um, and the reason why I want to kind of focus on, I mean, their identity matters. Like Jamaicans' identity matter, right? I
yeah,
mean, we clearly have precedent that the first people on the island look very similar to the people of the Amazon. That was the physical description. It's strong. It's just strong. I mean, it's climatic similarities with Brazil and the Caribbean,
but
right?
I never heard of a story of slave ships bringing Africans to Jamaica. Like that's something I've
Well,
never heard of.
you said you never heard of that story.
No, I never heard of anybody bringing, Africans to Jamaica. And then, there was a slave revolt. Like I know that,
So
from the history I've read, when Europeans got here, there were already people here. And obviously they slaughtered, they killed most of their, hierarchy, took the people for slaves, and then they had slave revolts.
all right, so you understand there's different chapters of slavery, right? And it's very documented first and foremost. So the first chapter is the Portuguese, and they were responsible for bringing most of the African captives that we know today, to the New World. So that's the first. It's the Portuguese. About 50% of the Portuguese that were brought over. 50% of the Africans that were brought over via America were the Portuguese, right?
Okay, wait. Can we clear up the word African? Because like African is the name of a Roman, like I said before. Like that was the name of a Roman. Like, is there another word for Africans? Because they're not really African.
So, like I said, here's what I'm going to. I'm pretty concrete. So when we reference a continental plate, right?
Yes.
We're referencing the people on the continental plate, right?
Okay.
So when I refer to a European, I'm referencing the people of that Western.
Yes, I get that part, but African.
So hold on, bro. So we're literally referencing people from the subcontinent, right? The inhabitants of that subcontinent. I'm referring to them as European, right? The same thing for Asian, right? I'm doing the same thing for Australians. That's a continental plate. Do the same thing for Americans, North and South America, right? And I'm not going to make an exception for the African continental plate, right? We're referencing the people from the continental plate, and
we're just going by what people call.
So the continental plate has a name, right? If everybody wants to debate the history of the name, the continental plate has a name. That's a different discussion, but right now it has a name. And we're referencing the people from that continental plate, and we're calling
Africa. Isn't the name of a Roman general that conquered over that continent at one point and named it after himself?
So actually, he acquired. So he was not born Africanus, right? That wasn't his birth name. Right? You can research it. He acquired that name after conquest, and that specifically referred to that region that he conquested, because the continental plates weren't named at the time. Right. Yeah. So that was not his birth name. So his birth name was.
How did they get all them people to start calling themselves Africans?
So, like I said, that wasn't his birth name, right? Mm-hmm. The region that was in proximity to Europe was called Afri, right? That was a name for a strip, a Berber land in Northwest Africa.
Okay.
So eventually, over time, what happens is, like 2,000 years ago, you don't have continents name, right? So people say Al-Kibu land was the old name for Africa, but it really wasn't, because continental plates are a name. Because in order to have a continental plate name, you have to understand the cartography of the continent, which required sophisticated technology. So you had to have the naval understanding of how the what they call islands at the time. You had to be able to travel around the whole entire island and understand it from a satellite position, which is pretty difficult, right? So you needed to have the technology on point to understand the continental plate. So that continental plate, that comes into place around the 14th century. We start naming continental plates, and the name that was chosen for the continental plate was Africa.
Yeah,
and that's the name that we go with. It's not. I mean,
okay. That's a lot
I just make things simple. We call them Africa. Most of a big chunk of it was called Ethiopia. So some people debate that too. A big chunk of Africa was called Ethiopia, not the whole thing.
Yeah.
But like I said, just to make things simple, I refer to them. I refer to them specifically as West Africans, right? Because if the reason why this is important is because the British control. It's about European control, right?
Yeah.
So the British control
divide and conquer
the Gold Coast. Right, that is they conquested that region for the Portuguese. So that's Ghana, and it's also Nigeria. Most of the heritage of people from Jamaica is going to be Ghanaian and Nigerian, And that's why I keep mentioning Ghana specifically, because it's all these specific intersectionalities with Ghana. So right now, I just pull something up, right?
Mhm.
And like I said, if there and the people who denied transatlantic slave trade, we got to make sense of this, right? Why
Hold
does
on 1 second. I got to turn my camera off because I'm about to smoke my peace pipe while I'm listening to you. Okay.
you can
So I'm gonna go ahead and let you explain this. And I'm gonna turn off my microphone. I don't even know how to even. Oh, there we go. I see it's all the way at the bottom. Okay, I'm still here.
like I said, so you'll see, like a lot of people say African, and I like to break things down specifically. I like to say the British African colonies and the
Yeah.
British American colonies, right? Why wouldn't the British bring their African captives to their American colonies? I don't understand why people debate this, right? They call the people Cromanti. The people today call themselves Cromanti. Like that was a British term. They both speak English. Nigeria is an English-speaking country. Ghana is an English-speaking country.
Yeah.
I don't know if you buy into the whole genetics, but a lot of people.
English is a trading language. It's not a real language.
Well, it was also the language of the colonizer, is what I'm stating, just to keep things simple. It was the language
They
of the
had to use that to communicate trade with us.
Yeah, but in this case, it was the language of the colonizer, right? The colonizer of Ghana and also the colonizer of the Jamaica. A lot of the indigenous people were killed off. You still have some indigenous populations, like I showed you that young girl. You still have pockets of indigenous people that are mixed, but
we're still here.
Are gone. And this is right here is something from Ghana, right?
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, if there's no interaction, if there was no trade, we wouldn't have this in Ghana, right? I mean, inside of Jamaica.
We did come from a certain place. But I believe that, when we got here, it wasn't as recent as people said it was. Like, when we first think about this, if God was to come to you as a people and said that, this is what's going to happen, okay, for whatever reason, sins, all that stuff, and this is what's going to happen, and that was said even before King Solomon was a king, okay, you don't think that some people, maybe 1% of them would say, I'm getting the fuck out of here right now. And they already left. They've been left. And the rest of them that stayed back behind, yeah, they went through the whole shit of slavery. They got removed from their lands, all that type of stuff. Where do you think they ended up? Same place that even he said in the Bible, you can't even run from your enemies from the ends of the earth. And we tried to run all the way to the ends of the earth. You can't get to the ends of the earth all the way from the Middle East all the way to California. You can't get no further than that. There's nowhere to go after that.
So this right here is something called the Indrinka symbols, right? And this is something distinct to Ghana, right? This is something that is carried over to Jamaica, and it's one of the I've done the research now, and I've have at least 1,000 intersectionalities, right, of words and foods and things that it would have to be some significant amount of migration from one place, from Ghana.
I grew up with symbolism. I understand symbolism. So,
but I mean, so the thing is,
get into it.
We got to
also symbols you're seeing are coming from where?
So, well, like I said, there's something called the Gold Coast, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the Gold Coast is the British region of West Africa, right?
You're not talking about the Ivory Coast, right?
The Ivory Coast is right next to the Gold Coast, but the Gold Coast, Ivory Coast is a modern day country. But the Gold Coast is the old name for Ghana, a little bit of Nigeria, and they call it the Gold Coast. So I'm going to read a little bit of it. It says many other slaves that were brought to Jamaica from West Africa.
Okay.
So the architecture, and I'm going to mispronounce this, Kambu, through it, though it fit to pay tribute to our ancestors by incorporating West African and Dinka symbols in the designs of the park. So throughout Jamaica today, what you're going to see is for the last couple hundred years, really, you're going to see this specific artwork, these symbols, right?
I've seen them
All
before.
throughout their from a windows to their screen
One
doors.
of those is a clothing company.
What are you referring to?
There used to be an old clothing company called Gecko. Gecko clothing. It was like back in the early what is it called, 1990s and stuff like that, and they would have the symbol of the gecko on there, and sometimes they would cross them just like that too.
Okay, so I'm gonna read a little bit more. The Andrinka symbols were originally designed by the Ashanti craftsmen of Ghana, West Africa.
That is a gecko, right? That's not a regular lizard. That's definitely a gecko by its stance and the way it.
What are you referencing? What are you talking about?
This bottom picture right here on the bottom of this bench.
So those are it's two alligators. I mean two crocodiles.
Alligator.
Two crocodiles.
What alligator looks like that?
Yeah, two crocodiles at the bottom, and it's a symbol, and then it's the two tails. So the Andrinka symbols are usually printed on cloth and woven in Ghana. Traditionally, only members of the royalty and spiritual leaders wore cloth with these very important sacred ceremonies and rituals.
Yes.
Today,
is this in Jamaica?
So this is all throughout Jamaica. We have these very sacred symbols. And the first one you're referencing right here, this is,
remember, like I was telling you, the Prince Hall Freemasons, they go to Jamaica every year to have their ceremonies, their whatever it is that they do.
Freemasons are everywhere, but so I mean, like that they're all over the planet. But so these right here, this is the head, right? That's the head, alligator head, alligator head, tail. It's a little harder to see right here. Once again, you have the alligator head, tail. And
I would just think an alligator's tail is.
I keep saying alligator. Alligators don't live
very long.
Alligators
have super long tails.
So that's my mistake. I keep saying alligator. Crocodiles live in Africa. So it's crocodiles. Okay. All right. Two-headed crocodiles, or the two mouths that feed one stomach. That's a specific symbol. Futum Fraufu. I'm sure I hacked it up really bad.
Good luck.
Out of many, one people, right? There's a debate on that, but that is a sacred symbol. You'll see it throughout Jamaica, as well as right here. This is another symbol. It's a tree. You'll see this throughout Jamaican architecture. So all these things, these coded things, you'll see throughout Jamaica. It's hundreds of them, and you'll see them all throughout the.
Wait, what was that saying that you said again? You said out of all people come one people.
Out of many comes one people. Hold on,
out of many comes one people.
That's a sign that you'll see in Jamaica as well. I mean, I heard somebody say that was indigenous. So let me open it back up.
No, I heard that saying before, but it was when I was doing a little bit of research on Zionism and stuff like that. And that's a big prevalent thing also in Jamaica too.
All right, so out of many one people, I think that is from my knowledge, the person told me that that's indigenous. But from my knowledge, I'm going to put it in. Let's put it in the search box right now. See what happens. Out of many, I think that might be I think it's a symbol in Jamaica.
Well, out of many people, one people. That statement comes from the fact that if people read the Torah, if people read the Bible, if people read their holy books, whatever it is, it states that, when God comes and he conjoins the two heavens and the earth together, basically all people of understanding, like they would understand that there's only one God, like he's the true living God when he presents himself. Okay. So at that point, do you think that there's anyone on this earth that's going to argue anything else other than that? No, they're all going to try to agree with each other and say, okay, well, yeah, we get it. It might be too late then, but there would be basically one understanding, one people at that point. Like there's no debate
to make
after
more,
that.
I'd rather make it more concrete. So, like, I'm gonna mispronounce it again. Futum Frafo. Out of
Like
many,
we would definitely be in one world order once God comes. Like if God comes and does that from what the Torah and everything says, yeah, definitely we would be in a one world society. Like
what I'm saying, bro, I'd rather kind of keep it real concrete. Like I said, this right here is something very specific. Out of many, one people. Is that something that's in Jamaican culture? It's a Ghanaian proverb, is what I'm stating, right? It's a Ghanaian proverb. Is it in Jamaican culture? We see these symbols obviously exist. And I just did a quick Google search.
But do these not come from the Hebrews themselves and their teachings?
I don't want, like I said, I'd rather keep it very concrete, bro. Like, I mean, we don't got to get philosophical. Let's keep it very concrete. What exactly?
But that's who Christopher Columbus was looking for. He was looking for the Hebrews and the lost tribes.
I didn't see that. I didn't see that written, man. I don't see that written anywhere. So I can't.
It's through his, like, if you understand his faith, his religion, what was going on during the time, you know, especially the influence by the Moors and everything, the Bible was a whole lot different in there. In the Bible back then, during Christopher Columbus's time, there was a scripture that actually, you know, described a place that, you know, his people could go for which they can worship him. And there were no other people there. There was no one there. They said it's an hour's journey, all this, or it's a day's journey out or a year's journey, and you go in this direction, that direction, and it was so called like Ezereth or something like that. They followed the same pattern, like just through their faith.
All right, so I'm not really religious, bro. I don't really. I mean, it's not my thing. I mean, I get you. That's you know. I mean, I'm kind of more
fighting over the Holy Land, like all that used to be like Jerusalem and Bethlehem and all the other stuff. Like it all comes together in one. Like they've been fighting over that land, and they've been trying to search for these lost tribes, and could never figure it out for the life of them because I mean.
Lost, man. But I don't, you know, maybe they want to be lost. I don't get into religion. I don't know. Like I said, just in terms of to kind of bring it back, like
I'm not really a religious person. I've studied and I read many religions, and I understand where many people come from, like from their perspective. Like I've read the Bible from the front to the back. I've read the Quran. I've read the Torah, so called, the written text in Hebrew and in the Muslim translation. I've read the Kabbalah, I've read the Hermetica, I've read the Tao Te Ching, I've read Sun Tzu's book Art of War. Just many things that I studied about many cultures across the world, even about Kemetic-ism, you know, ancient Kemet, all that stuff. Emerald tablets of Tall.
Yeah, but like I said, bro, I mean, I'm just kind of concrete. We were talking about Jamaica. We're talking about intersectionalities in Jamaica. We went through the Andrinka, right? We saw a Ghanaian proverb, and it said, "Out of many, one people." And this is also, I'm looking. This is a symbol. This is part of their coats of arms, right? So that it reappears through their culture is what I'm stating, right? In this case, like we have some indigenous people. They're indigenous people. And with the crocodile over top, pineapples are native to Jamaica. So it looks like they're it's a Ghanaian proverb, but they have the indigenous people on. But
just wondering, those same things you'll find in Florida or California.
Well, like this is very specific, bro. This is like, I mean, out of many, one people, and then we have the alligator reappearing. Like I said, I mean, it's a Ghanaian proverb, bro. I mean,
got my ancestors' titties out and everything.
Yeah, and it looks like these people are clearly indigenous, bro. They're indigenous people. Straight here. You look at the guys here. That's not a West African. That's an indigenous person right here. So I mean, like I said,
Yeah.
we need to factor into our reality. It's obviously a lot of influence. We got to make sense of those intersectionalities because they reappear all throughout the culture.
Yeah.
And then the last one, I'll show you one more, and I'll let you just get whatever you think about it.
One quick question.
What's up?
What? Okay, if black people are the only people that build pyramids and everything else like that, why are the oldest of pyramids in like Peru and in South America
Hold on, bro.
and not in Africa, like in Egypt? Like those pyramids that are in South and Central America, they're older than the pyramids in Egypt.
Hold on, bro. Hold on. So let me get ready. Where's it at? Here we go.
And the Mayan calendar is way older than the Egyptian calendar too.
No, did I share it again? No, I'm not sharing the right thing. Okay, try this again. Stop that. Here we go.
Are you sure that Satan's not trying to make us believe where the true motherland is?
Hold on, bro. Hold on. Hold on. Share screen. Boom.
You know, is there a possibility that all races of people came from the Americas from one point instead of the opposite way, like they've been teaching us?
All right. So in response to your pyramid question, right? So pyramids exist in 6 continents, right?
All over the world.
They exist in the
Asia's
river valleys of China. They exist in
Japan.
Latin, the Latin region of the Mediterranean and Europe.
Yes.
They exist all throughout the Middle East.
Yes.
They exist in Africa, all throughout Africa. More pyramids are actually in Sudan than Egypt.
Okay.
And they also exist in the Americas, right? There's structural differences between these pyramids. They exist all throughout the planet. Black people do not have a monopoly on that specific architecture, right? It's not like it's a monopoly on that specific architecture.
No, I wouldn't even use the term black because there's really no such thing as a black person or a white person or a yellow person.
I'm saying, you're connecting it to a racial group. That's what you did. You kind of connected it to a racial group.
Okay, so let me recant on that and just say what is called original peoples.
So in this case, bro, we got a whole entire hemisphere of people of varying hues. To use architecture to define indigeneity is kind of silly, man. It's silly. Because they exist throughout all the planet. It's a pretty concrete structure, right? It's something that is mimicking, is emulating a mountain, and it exists throughout the whole entire world, bro. So that sacred knowledge can be transferred as people move. And whether or not there was interactions between different continents or not, but that is not something that one group had a monopoly on, right? And the pyramids of the Western world are very unique, very different, and a lot of people, it's a lot of pseudoscience. They're overestimating.
So could we say at one point in the world, some point in the world, that there was a worldwide religion that did exist that, somehow faded away into mystery, which,
That requires centralization, bro. And a long time ago, you had less centralization because people didn't have the connectivity that we have now. So the older you go, the less connected people are throughout the planet because it's harder to connect because the means of transportation don't exist. So 3,500 years ago, you have the beginning of big vessels that can go from continent to continent. It's a lot harder to travel 70,000 years ago. You do have travel. You do have people in Australia. You do have people in New Zealand. But like I said, it's that easily people are able to maintain and navigate the oceans. That's something that exists within the last 2005.
Okay, so you believe in the tectonic plates, right? And all that shifting underneath the continents and moving the continents and everything. You believe in that, right?
So, like I said, I don't.
My question is there?
Hold on. I feel a drift. I just want to kind of bring it back. Like I said, the discussion started with um, are Jamaicans, is it a Ghanaian connection? Do they have those Ghanaian genetic markers? Is a Ghanaian influence there? Do the people? I mean, because I showed you, we were
I was actually trying to get to that too.
yeah. So we were responding to a video about the Ghanaian president acknowledging the people of Jamaica as descendants of Ghana, right? And then we also had another video with the Jamaican president acknowledging the people of Ghana, of Jamaica, as descendants of Ghana. So what I'm just doing is trying to tie all that together, right?
So wasn't the world one giant landmass at one point, right? Wasn't it? It was one giant landmass that people called so-called Pangea or whatever it is people want to call it.
There's
And
multiple.
then it all split apart.
So, bro, we gotta remember this. All of these things constitute 300 million years ago, right?
So is there a possibility that people just were where they were at? Like they didn't have to travel because they were already there. When that landmass broke apart, there was already people on different landmasses that broke away and they became indigenous to the separate parts of the world, however it ended up being in the individual. And it's still shifting today too.
Okay, so what you're referencing is something that's 335 million years old. What I'm referencing is something that's 250 years old. You get the difference? Right?
Just like Jamaicans and Ghanaians and whatever category people call themselves from the countries, we all originally come from the same people.
Human history is not 335 million years old, right? We haven't been 335 million years existing cross continent, right? That's just not the planet was had a whole different atmosphere. It was a whole different. It was an age of reptiles. It was a different era of not even humankind, not even mammals didn't even rise 335 million years. So it's a whole different era, right? To connect people from Ghana with ancient tectonic plates is that's bizarre, man. We're referencing recent history, right? These are recent things that occurred in real time. These are recent genetic markers. So what I'm stating is the people of Ghana recognize the descendants of Jamaica and is vice versa. And I wanted to show a video. This is something very specific part of Ghanaian culture. This is the Aki plant, right? You know about the Jamaican Aki fruit?
I've never been to Jamaica personally myself.
Okay, well, this is something like, so for instance, I'll show you a little video. I don't know if I got audio or not.
That's in Africa. Is that what you're saying?
This is Ghana.
Yes. So that plant is in Jamaica.
So this is Ghana right here. This is specifically Ghana. Okay, but it's also it's also a national symbol of Jamaica as well, right? And it's pretty much only eaten historically. So what I'm highlighting is one of those specific interactions. It's not something that is popular in Haiti historically. It's not something that's popular in other parts of West Africa necessarily. It's pretty much popular in countries, primarily Ghana. It's just one of those mini intersections that are very specific.
Well, Jamaicans making a better partnership with Ghana is better for the rest of us anyway. So, I mean, I'm all for it.
But is it like, here's my thing, bro. Listen, is it just a modern day connection? Is what I'm saying. Jamaican Aki fruit is not something.
They've been planning this. Like Jamaicans, they've been trying to grow their roots back to Africa because of the whole, they believe they're, the tribes of Judah back in the Bible.
But no, don't try to insert the Bible into it, bro. Well, I'm talking about something very recent, right? This is recent,
yeah,
right? So recent meaning last couple hundred years, but it's also an old part of Jamaican culture. This is not new to Jamaican culture. Like they
Yeah.
didn't start eating aki fruit like the last 50 years. It's part of their heritage, right?
My baby's mom, she dates this Jamaican girl and stuff like that, on and off and stuff like that. And she talks about most of this stuff, and you know, definitely, I mean, we have conversations, but usually it does lead down to the tribe of Judah and Hebrews and all the other stuff. I mean, I don't know why, but I mean, I'm not Rastafarian. I'm a Cherokee, so I don't. I mean, I believe in chiefing. I mean, that's the only thing we have in common and stuff. We both smoke on the peace pipe and everything else like that, and try to be cool people. But they even a lot of them, they try to convince us that we're one of the tribes too. So like one of
I
the
don't even I
lost
don't
tribes
even, I
of
don't even touch that stuff.
Israel.
I don't like it doesn't even like I mean I literally ignore that kind of stuff, bro. Only because it's not concrete enough for me. It's not concrete enough for me. I need more concrete. So I don't really even delve in it.
Um, I mean, what's it called, in Oak Park in Sacramento, California? That's where I'm from down here. We have these guys. They call themselves Hebrew Israelites, and we can't even go to the store without running into one of these guys, and they're you know um convincing people that we're the lost tribes of Israel and all the
I'll
other
be honest, bro. I could care less about any of that kind of stuff. Only because it doesn't. It doesn't. I don't. It's philosophical. It's too obscure for me. I don't like. I don't believe the Bible. Literally. I don't. Yeah, I'm not a believer. I'm a person who's more into evidence. So I like it from a historic standpoint to hear the history
stuff.
about it. Like it doesn't connect to me. But I'm gonna play this for like 30 seconds, man. Just let you hear a little bit about what she's saying.
Yeah. There's no audio on there.
Oh, it's audio.
No.
My bad, bro. I'm sorry, man. My bad. If I don't get audio, I just gonna let it go. I don't know. Let me see. Hold on, man.
So there's no esoteric symbolism to this fruit plant.
She might explain it. She might explain the esoteric component. I'm
Yeah.
not like I kind of keep it more concrete. I just talk about the intersectionalities as I see them. Hold on. You said you can't hear?
No, there's no volume.
Hold on. Let me see.
I mean, maybe on YouTube they can hear it, but I can't hear it.
Hold on, bro. Let me see.
I mean, how many people do we have watching right now live?
Probably not a lot.
Yeah.
Probably not a lot. Because this is all new. This is like I just started doing this, man. But I thought. Uh, all right, so I don't know, man. We might not have no audio. Well, I wanted to play a video. So aki fruit is something that's native to Ghana. It's a common food in. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a common food in Jamaica now. I wanted to kind of show that. I guess I can't show it. I wanted to show a video in a language, but I guess I can't show that either. But it just to show everybody these intersectionalities. I mean, they've been existing for a while. The president of Ghana is saying that they existed for a while. I'm just all about like we gotta make sense of it. I mean, what happened? Something happened to connect these people. And like, can you see this right here?
Yes.
So these are all the words, right? We have all these distinct words. Once again, trace back to the Gold Coast. Hundreds of words that are very specific. And they're all. Oh, that's Wikipedia. And they're all traced back to Ghana, right? And the Akan language.
Yeah.
So, and that's everything from let's see.
I asked my grandmother, and she was from Japan. She was 10 years old during World War II when they dropped two nuclear weapons on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And I asked her, I said, where did the Japanese language come from and stuff like that? And she told me, she said it comes from, Africa and stuff like that. And basically it was, you know, from the story she told me, that it was some African woman that was in Japan at some point and changed the language from the Chinese version to now the language that they speak. If you listen to the same language, the way that their alphabet is, it's the same almost as Swahili. It's almost the same as people in Africa. The vowel sounds and the phonetics is the same, even all the way from Japan.
Okay. Hold on. I'm trying to get this. If anybody wants to in the chat wants to join, I'm put the link in the chat. Feel free to tap the link.
There is a common language though that has spread amongst the word.
It's a lot of words in there. My bad, bro. I'm just reading the chat. It's a lot. I missed a lot of words. Okay. All right. So anybody, feel free to use to tap the link. And I'm listening to you, bro. I'm sorry.
Oh no. I was done talking.
You're talking about Japan, right? In the distinct
Well,
words?
I was just saying, like different parts in the world, the phonetics are pretty much, similar from Asia to the Middle East to Africa to even our common language we use today.
Okay, all right, I hear you.
Except for English is like a mixture of a whole bunch of words from many languages.
Yeah, and it's a Germanic language, and it's kind of borrowed from languages that it came in contact with. The thing about the reason why language is important, though, because language also identifies context, right? It identifies heritage.
The context is something like when you say something, that word actually means something.
So I'm going to open it up. So like I said, language identifies context. So you're able to identify people's where they come from and who they've interacted with based on that language. And here's just a few words, right, that exist. We can tap on them. We just mentioned the fruit, right? A specific fruit. That's pachwa, and that's the Akan word for it, right? They also call it aki in Ghana as well. A dopey right here, and they of course you might hear the word dopey in pachwa. You're going to see all these words throughout the
That's even in Native American culture.
Well,
even Cherokee.
But when I'm saying this is specific, bro, like I'm talking about specific intersectionalities between these two groups, right? And these hundreds of words that are distinct to both of these groups. These things just don't happen without intersection, without intersectionality. Obey is a religion. That's also is two different pronunciations in.
They share words amongst each other.
Well, you don't just share identical words. Nearly 1,000 times without some interaction is what I'm stating, bro. You know what I'm saying?
No, you're definitely doing it because of trading.
But the thing is, bro, listen, these are both British colonies, is what I'm stating, right? They're both British colonies. We have the records of the people being transported from Ghana to Jamaica. We have the records of the Igbo.
That's what I want to see. I haven't seen that. I haven't seen those records. Like I stated before, I never heard of, and it's probably just my ignorance, but, I've never heard of slaves being brought to Jamaica on slave ships and stuff like that. Like my grandfather, he went to Jamaica every year. He never talked about it.
Yeah, well, a lot of Jamaicans don't even mention African heritage. I mean, but here's the thing about it. They retain more African heritage. And I was surprised they retain more African heritage than the Haitians. And I thought the Haitians would, but they have more. There's more African intersectionalities in Jamaica than there is any other place, and I didn't know that. But just to I don't want to lose my reply. I had a good reply.
Haitians, they speak French, don't they?
Yeah, so they have intersectionalities with francophone,
Yeah,
with French Africans, right? So there's
yeah.
thousands of unique intersections and thousands of unique cultures that have been brought over. But no, so here's my point. A lot of times it's not discussed from an economic standpoint, right? So we got to
Yeah.
remember what made Jamaica very unique and what was happening at the time, right? What were Europeans doing? It wasn't just a matter of capturing slaves. It was a
They
matter.
said, get the hell out of here, man, and threw them all out into the ocean.
So it's a
That's
matter of.
what the Jamaicans did.
So I'm talking about producing wealth. So what they did was a lot of times it was we're referencing something, we're referencing sugarcane, right? Sugarcane is what is catapulting a lot of these countries into wealth, right?
Oh, yeah, I mean, you wouldn't even have CNH sugar today if it wasn't for that market.
So they needed the labor, though, is what I'm stating. So
Oh,
they needed the
yeah.
labor, and what happened was they needed the captive labor, and they used certain places. They used the places that they colonized to bring people from their colonies over to the mainland, Jamaica, over to mainland. So there's
Cheap labor.
a distinct connection between French Africa and Haiti, is what I'm stating. And in this case,
Yeah.
we're referring to the Anglo Africa, right? So we're referring to Anglo African culture. It's distinct intersectionalities with the Gold Coast in Jamaica and
Yeah.
Bahamas, a little bit of North Carolina. And if you look at the culture, you'll see all those intersectionalities, that migration. And that's
How
why we
come, don't mean to cut you off, but how come Jamaica does not ask for reparations from Great Britain?
I'm sure it's been discussions. I'm sure it's been a lot of discussions. I mean, their history is a lot different than ours. It's a predominantly African country, Afro descendant country, 90% Afro descendants. So it's a different relationship. Whereas we're a smaller minority. Um, it's a
Oh,
lot.
wait a minute. Hold on. Let me rethink about that. Okay, wouldn't the British people be asking for reparations from the Jamaicans because it's just like in America when America took the colonies away from Britain, Britain said, "Well, you owe us for this and that and the other."
You're talking about France and Haiti.
No, what is it called? The Jamaica and Britain. Wouldn't the British be asking for reparations if they kicked them off of that place? Because that's not under British rule no more. It's not a British colony. They gained their independence.
So there's different stages, right? So what they have is something called their British Commonwealth, the same way Canada is. So most of those countries have they don't have that dramatic revolution like we did. That means they
Well,
were.
they came to agreement.
So there's still is still some degree of connectivity to the
Yes.
mainland UK. They exist as a part of the kingdom indirectly, even though they're a sovereign nation. In the same way in Canada, obviously, but there's still it's still connections to the United Kingdom, right?
Yes.
Even if it's just symbolic. And it exists in terms of trading agreements. It exists in terms of migrations. The immigrants from Jamaica going to Great Britain. So I mean, there are those still. They still have those intersections. They never had that dramatic revolution like the U.S. did with Great Britain in 1776, right? Or they never had that dramatic breakaway like Haiti did with
Yeah.
France. So
Yeah.
it's a little different. It was a slower evolution. What I'm stating is all these countries still have these unique intersectionalities. Is what I'm stating.
Yeah.
Still have British culture and they still have West African culture, but generally the parts of West Africa that they were taken from, right? So there's
Yeah.
still a lot of Igbo culture in Jamaica, and there's still a lot of Akan culture, which is Ghanaian. That's the
My,
main thing.
my
Um,
roommate, he's Jamaican. My roommate, he's Jamaican, and his name's Jeffrey.
okay.
They have British
You
names.
look out to the names, bro. Like it's a name. Quest.
Jeffrey, Elizabeth, James.
Okay. And even down to the names, bro. Like you can go down to the names and you can see the names are all of Ghanaian heritage, Ghanaian origin. So
Jeffrey is Ghanaian.
Jeffrey is not.
Elizabeth.
No, those are British names.
Oh,
Hold on.
those are the Jamaicans I know. My bad. I mean, I don't
Yeah,
know. I mean, I
yeah,
only know the Jamaicans I know. I mean, there's plenty more.
yeah. So like yeah, hold on. So let me see. Hold on real
That
quick.
girl I was talking about earlier, her name was Zion. That's her
Okay.
nickname, though. That's not her real name.
Okay. Yeah. So this is the last thing I think I'll show, and then we'll just uh, is this it? Yeah. So like a lot of names like Kwesi, Kwame, all these names are of they all are is can you see my
Oh,
screen?
Kwame from Captain Planet.
Yeah, Kwame, Kwesi, these are all distinctly Ghanaian names as well, is what I'm seeing. So they're all like their
Yeah.
days of the week. So let's
Oh,
look
he
up.
was definitely on Captain Planet, the cartoon. He was definitely African. He was
All right.
definitely black. He was the black. He was the black dude that he talked like someone from Africa.
Hey, so can you see that right there, bro?
Yeah, his name is Kwame.
And you
I
see
remember that TV show. Yeah, I see it.
what does it say? It says it's a Ghanaian name, right? So the same thing would be also for Kwesi, Kwesi, Kwame. What's the other one name? Kofi. Kofi's another one. These are all names that have been carried on. So it's just about these thousands of intersectionalities that people can just dismiss. We just don't have that many intersectionalities without having some degree of see, there you go.
Interaction
Another
with
name.
each other.
Huh?
Interaction with each other.
I mean, bro. I mean, at a certain point, it's beyond interaction. You don't get the name of the person without. And why are they interacting? Is the question too. Why are these groups interacting?
Well, I mean, people marry into these people, and they married a lot of us natives, and they got their bloodline going through our bloodline, and some of them have agendas and stuff like that. They do it for a reason. There's always a reason why people do the things that they do. But I don't think that's anything that not even I could understand why.
Bro, or maybe it's just something very simple. Maybe it's just a simple, the obvious answer that y'all want to recognize.
Yeah, I was born into this. Like I didn't have a choice. Like
No.
like I some people they said, well, did you join Freemasonry or something like that? I said no. I said that was just we just grew up in that. That was like everything that was basically around us and stuff like that. But I mean, from our understanding from the truth, it's like way different from what they teach you definitely in school. Like it's not the same.
Yeah. So I mean, another time I go through the records. This was just to kind of show intersectionalities. Hopefully, to me, I think I showed enough to show that it's obviously a lot of Ghanaian influence, right? Um, I mean, it's obviously a lot of intersectionalities. It's also some. You go down to the DNA. I mean, about 40% of their mitochondrial DNA is traced back to Ghana. It's just
Ghana is also one of the people that's trying to create their own currency called the Echo, right?
what I'm stating is
They're trying to get away from that Franco dollar, that other Frank Echo thing. That's also what's going on down there in Ghana.
so let me just show you real quick. I mean, I don't know if I share my screen yet. Hold on, bro. All right, so I just share names, right? Did this come up?
Um,
You see it?
yes, it says born on Friday, origin or Kofi, name meaning.
Yep. So I mean, Kofi. That's a common name in Jamaica, right? Um, Kwesi, right? Another common name in Jamaica. Um, Kwame. See, all these names mean they all have a good
If
name.
I met a Jamaican with those type of names, for some reason in my brain I would automatically not even relate them to Jamaicans. Like I would think that they were African.
Well, no, Kwame is a very popular name here too, bro. Kwame is a very popular name in the states too, so it's very popular here. And
I mean,
Kwesi's
I know one other person named Kwame. Like that was like long time ago, back in elementary school. But
it's a
um,
very popular name in the states, man. This is the last thing I'll show you. This might be the uh, I mean, just to show you, this is an easy one to do because there's so many of them. We could just do it all day blown, but we gotta eventually wrap it up
yeah,
here. So right here, this is the Jamaican flag, right? The
yes,
Jamaican flag is in these are Ashanti colors, right?
they shared the same colors.
Well, it's deliberately in Ashanti colors, bro. I mean, as a tribute to the people,
Yeah.
not by accident. I mean, it's literally, um, you know, you know,
Wait, so that top corner flag, that is the Shanti flag of the Shanti. That's in
this,
Ghana.
so this is an Ashanti flag. It's not necessarily the national flag of Jamaica. I mean, of Ghana. It's the Ashanti flag, right? That's the
That's a
people,
tribe.
yeah, tribe in Jamaica. I mean,
Was that chair?
and so you recognize these colors. These colors are also in the Jamaican flag, is what I'm stating.
Yeah.
Um, uh, and
My boy got that flag in his car.
which one?
My roommate.
The Ashanti flag?
No, the Jamaican flag. He's Jamaican.
Okay. Okay. All right. So I'm not sure if my screen is
The
being.
Shanti flag, that's probably the first time I've actually seen that flag. I didn't know that it shared the same colors as the Jamaican flag.
Yeah. I mean, and it's pretty much. I mean, like I said, it's you can go through. I mean, literally thousands of intersectionalities of the people
I
recognize.
mean, but is there any possibility that that just could be a coincidence?
All right. So we have about. I did a whole entire video on food, right?
Mm.
A whole entire video on the and drinkers, the symbols, right? I did a whole entire video on
Yes.
names. I did a whole entire video on the language, right? The thousands and thousands of words in the language. Um, we also have the leaders recognizing the heritage. I did a whole entire thing on the mitochondrial DNA of Ghana and Jamaica. I don't know. I mean, I could keep going on and on and on.
I mean, but what is people expecting Jamaicans to start calling themselves Africans and Ghanaians and stuff instead of Jamaicans?
So, bro, here's what I'm saying, bro.
They've been there for like over 400 years. They're Jamaicans now, regardless of where their heritage came from.
Okay, however you we're talking. This discussion is about heritage, right? The discussion's about heritage.
Too long. They're Jamaicans now. They're stuck with that forever. They can't change that now.
Here's the thing, bro. So we're Americans too, right? Well, the discussion is about heritage, though, right? Like a European, does a European no longer as a white person in America? Do they lose all their European heritage because they've been here?
They tell us the same thing. They say your heritage is from Africa too. I say, okay, that might be true, but you're talking about long time ago.
Yeah, it still denotes heritage, and that's all. And the discussion is that
we're Americans now.
So bro, the discussion is about the distinct heritage, right? And the problem is, here's the problem with that I have that you don't seem guilty of, right? We have people who are indigenous, right?
Yes.
Yeah, people in America who are actually indigenous. Some of them are Afro-indigenous. Some of them have a little bit more European heritage, the European admixture. Some are full-blooded, right? Right now at a place where we're questioning their indigenous status. We have people literally going looking at people in the Amazon saying, "Oh, they're frauds."
How long do you have to be somewhere to be called an indigenous person of that land?
Well, generally, the indigenous people are the people that are there first, bro.
Okay, so Africans, if they were the first people here, then most of those people, yeah, their ancestors, even if you live in Africa, your ancestry is the same as the indigenous people here in America. So, I
You said,
mean, if you went across continents and stuff, wouldn't they all be indigenous people too if we shared the same lineage?
why do
No
we?
matter if you're in Ghana or if you're in America?
Here's my problem, bro. Why do we need to get philosophical? Is the question.
It's just my nature. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying. No, I'm just saying. If we got the evidence, why do we need to get philosophical about this stuff? I mean, we got the evidence. We got the evidence that these people. We have the evidence of the ship manifest. We have the evidence of British colonization. We have thousands of distinct cultural and unique intersectionalities. Why do we need to get philosophical?
Well, I mean, I'm just, just trying to be convinced of, this, this showing, this viewing, and, I mean, I've seen all the evidence that you presented and, all that.
And and
I
it's a
mean,
drop.
I've seen it. I can't take it as fact.
Drop.
I
It's
mean,
a bucket, bro. That's the sad. That's the thing about it. What
it's
I'm,
something to ponder on, though.
it's a drop in the bucket. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
What
it's a drop in the bucket.
huh?
It's definitely a drop in the
Well,
bucket because it's an ever going thing that's gonna end up somewhere one way or another.
well, it's what I'm saying is a drop in the bucket, not in the sense of whether they're connected or not. It's a drop in the bucket in all the proof. It's more proof to go into, is what I'm stating. It's not like it's this we covered everything.
Oh
We
yeah,
covered
that proof is stacking up. It's stacking up. The truth is only whatever it is that you make it to be, whatever you want it to be, in my opinion.
it's what you.
But
I don't understand
um,
what that means.
it's interesting to know that this is what's going on, and trying to figure out where it's gonna end up.
My bad. To the person who just joined, welcome, bro.
Yo,
Okay,
peace,
are
peace.
we
Can
are
you hear
we
me?
going off the live now? That's it.
Can
Yes,
you all hear me?
join. How you doing, man?
I'm
Oh,
good. I'm good. Um, no, I can't. I was watching your show, and then I came in late, so I didn't know what it was that you were talking about. But then I see that this is. It seems to be like you're having a narrative which clarifies the origins of African Americans in Africa and their connection to the continent. That's what
actually,
it seemed like.
it
But
was about the connection between Jamaicans and people of Ghana and Africa.
right. But then the brother did make one statement saying that there's this narrative where we having to there's this narrative that's kind of popular in our culture today that that people of African descent are melanated people are indigenous to the land and that we're the original Native Americans. And it's a conversation that's gaining steam, and it's going against, I guess, what's called the popular narrative that we came to the Americas through the diaspora. So I just really came up here to support the
Yeah.
brother's work. Like, I definitely love the way you're making the connections between, I call them Africanisms in the Caribbean. So that was it, brother. I'm just come up to engage in the conversation. I know I'm late, so yeah.
Okay. I mean, yeah, this is a great platform for people to talk and discuss and debate and speak on. I mean, me and this brother, we haven't had a shouting match yet. And we've been on for an hour, so I love the platform. He's very respectful and stuff like that. He came with the heat. He came with all the heavy punches, like with the facts and everything. I
Right,
mean,
right.
I'm still here. So, you said you came in late. If I can explain myself real quick, my name is Jason, but I go by J Bryce. Um, and I am a native citizen of America, like recognized by the federal government as an indigenous person of these lands, and my family and all that. We've been in the Americas way into the 1600s before there was an American Constitution. I've learned a lot of things from my own family personally through histories and things about the Americas and what I know about it through our, what we were taught from uh, parent to parent to parent to parent to, son to son to son. And, we grew up with different truths, we all do, so I grew up with the truths that were taught to me. Um, Brother man over here doing the live stream, he has his truths and his facts. And originally, me personally, I believe that Jamaicans are, mostly indigenous to the land that they're already on. They've been there for more than 400 years. But this connection back to Ghana, I was just, wondering what's the correlation with the whole thing. Because I don't like me personally, I understand my lineage at some point probably did come all the way from Africa, but we don't identify ourselves as Africans.
All right, so I'm gonna jump in real quick. So I mean, like I said, I think I like your approach to some degree. I think the difference with me, I think with other people who may debunk, I don't dismiss grandparents, right? So we need to hear grandma. Grandma probably had some unique stories, right? It all needs to come together. So your parents you come from Oklahoma, which is just a whole bunch of interesting stories. They all need to be tied together. The issue is, and what's your name, bro? I don't know how to pronounce your name. It's
Cosmic.
Cosmic. Okay. Cosmic said something that's interesting. Our Africanity is being called into question, right? Which is not something our ancestors really. That wasn't a narrative in the past, right? Our ancestors never called our Africanity into question, right? If your grandmother said we have Irish in the family, does that mean you're a full-blooded Irish and you go get a Celt? So why do somehow people now say, "Oh, my grandmother mentioned we had this specific tribe in the family"? That means I'm a full-blooded Native American. I can deny all Africanity, right? Or I can look at this picture of a black person who has a very unique story in tribal garb and the tribal regalia, and I'm going to use that picture to deny my Africanity. I said, look, we were here. That's a unique story that nobody even bothers to label the person. You don't label who they are, where they are, what the tribe is, all these unique intersectionalities that we ignore, and we just use that person and use them to deny our Africanity. The problem now is we're denying our Africanity. Right. And it really can't be called into question because, like I said, we just went through about an hour and 50 minutes of me just showing you all these different intersectionalities. He came at the tail end of it. I mean, we went through a lot of stuff. And I just want to let everybody know it's not really a debate whether we're Afro descendants. That's not really a debate. That's definitely a key part of the story. For most of us, it's almost the entire story, right? But it's all different intersectionalities, all different things that go with this. That's what we gotta stop this narrative. We got a narrative that's saying transatlantic slave trade never happened. There's no shit. It's just not true. So I mean that's just what we had this discussion. This guy's open-minded. I'm open-minded, and we had a good discussion. What are your thoughts on what to do about this, man?
I think I started following you. I don't remember what video you did, but I started following you because I'm in another social media platform where I came across, I call this Afrophobia. I came across these philosophies of these different groups that really try to separate their heritage from Africa. And I find that to be really disturbing. So like this conversation that you're talking about having, like these brothers and sisters that And I think it's a popular narrative. It's a recent popular narrative to totally deny the African part of our heritage and just
Well,
identify with one other part of our heritage, like the pictures you were talking about. And then it's interesting in relationship to that because like the five civilized tribes, they have a very unique history in reference to their relationship with African Americans because I've ran across these people with this Afrophobic kind of bent on life, on heritage, that I had to do my research to kind of validate or invalidate, what they were speaking on, or get some sort of understanding on what they were talking about. So like when I was doing my research on you know the relationship. Well, first of all, I think it was John Henry Clark or either W.B. Du Bois that said the relationship between blacks and Native Americans, or African and Native Americans, is one of the most untold stories in American history. And so that's like it's a mist that that just hasn't been as reported on, and that's kind of why people are engaged in this conversation today.
because
But
black
but
people
wait
were
wait wait
here
wait wait
before
wait wait
white
wait brother
people.
brother, you have to. I would appreciate being allowed to finish speaking before being interrupted. That would be awesome. Um,
Okay, sorry about that.
right. And so no, and it's not to deny. And so what it's leading into is a conversation where it's not denying the reality that certain peoples were here, but it's also not denying the reality that we do have the existence of the diaspora, of the slave trade, and of Africans being transported from the dominant continent of Africa to these places in America. And that's why we see these intersectionalities exist. I call them Africanisms in the regions of the diaspora. That's why you can see like Candomblé, Santeria, Palo. These are all indigenous African religions, all indigenous African practices transported in the diaspora over into the Americas. But recently we're having to do the work to reaffirm and reconnect, and then reaffirm and reconnect our African identity, not denying our Native American identity, but still reaffirm the African identity. Because it's like, since we've been in America, those of us in America, we are consistently taught to not identify with Africa. And so it's like we're not African. The Africa has no part of us, and we're taught to look down upon it and not understand our to it. And this leads to like a lot of different results. One of the results being we don't understand that we can actually have connections with Africa. And besides like cultural historical connections that we could also develop business relationships with Africa simply because we have the connection with that continent in our mind. But typically what ends up happening is people don't want to have, like, if when you talk about Africa to melanated brothers and sisters, there's an automatic block cut off, and I don't want anything to do with Africa. There's a disdain and a distaste for it. And then that cuts us off from all the different possibilities that we could have if we just understood our relationship to it, with it, and developed it. And so it's very important. This conversation you're having, brother. Oh man, I can't even see your name. I don't even know your name, brother. Sorry about
Can
that.
OHF or Historic Foundation.
can I
I don't.
hear
Okay.
good? Can
Yeah.
I
No,
hear good?
let me finish. I was trying to make my last statement. Like, the work that you're doing is very important. It needs to move forward and be supported. Because the narrative that there is no connection with Africa is gaining speed and gaining momentum in various philosophies. In this philosophy that we're Native American, also to the philosophy that we're Hebrew Israelites. There's a lot of Afrophobic conversations happening, and not a lot of conversations happening that reaffirms our African identity within the popular mainstream culture. Of course, that's in academia because academia knows that. But one thing like our elders and our ancestors had problems doing was like bringing this information to the people in the street. This is what ASCAC had a problem with. And so it's like we need to translate this information to just the general population. I'm done with that now.
That was stated brutal. That was beautifully stated.
That was really nice. I mean, that was. I mean, I don't even know if I even have something to say after that.
No, and what you were saying, you were kind of piggybacking off of what he said. When he started going to the indigenous intersectionalities that haven't been covered, you were about to weigh in. Um,
Oh, these people owe us money. some of these people, not every single one of them, but a certain part of the sector of the corporation owes us money. And that's a whole. Not every black person or so-called black person or African American or wherever the hell they want to call us, like, is not involved in that. And you still have different diasporas of melanated people still coming here to America today. And where's their education level at? When they come to America, they already have this hip hop version of what they expect out of, you see any type of colored person. This is what it's like, and it's like fed and bled into their minds already.
I'm going to jump in real quick, bro. So
they don't even know the truth. They don't even know what the hell is going on.
Based on what you just said, so a lot of the way this is carried on is because the last 50 years in this country, there's been a direct, there's been a concerted effort to keep West Africa and mainland Africa separate from the U.S., to keep the U.S. A separate group, disenfranchised from mainland Africa. Because Pan-Africanism is one of the biggest threats to white supremacy, right? An organized African Union along with an African diaspora that's totally connected and engaged, that's a threat to the white social order, right?
Mm-hmm.
The more organized Africa is, the more cooperative they are as a continent, the bigger the threat to the white social order. So around in the 1960s, they saw this happening. They saw all of the people, the civil rights movement, people don't even know this, all of the people from the civil rights movement, they all got their inspiration after Ghana's independence. And all of those early civil rights leaders went to Africa first. The Ella Bakers, the Martin Luther King.
What did you guys do? We need to try to this. They were trying everything they could. Marvin Garvey too.
This is not even, and they were all, and Martin Luther King, believe it or not, was inspired by Marcus Garvey. So all these people, they don't understand that even with the civil rights movement that looked like a whole bunch of black people with sit-ins, that was very inspired by Pan-Africanism to a certain degree, and not the modern concept of Pan-Africanism, but really inspired by freedom in Africa.
The African liberation movements of the 30s and 40s and the 50s.
Absolutely. And then that led way to the civil rights movement and which led way to Malcolm X and more outspoken leaders and Kwame Toure's. And the State Department was terrified by this. The CIA was terrified by this. And they created policies to keep the people fractured in the Americas and keep people in West Africa.
You remember Tulsa, Oklahoma, right?
Hold on, bro. I'm gonna finish this thought and let you jump in.
That's what I want to get to.
So it's called National Security Council Memorandum 46. It's other policies like that. And what they did was the State Department had this whole entire policy on how to, as a propaganda campaign, on how to keep people in mainland Africa. They have a bad view of the people in the West. And also for us to have a poor concept of West Africa, so that
what was that called again?
It's called National Security Council. I can pull it up. National Security Council Memorandum 46.
Can you pull that up on the screen?
Yeah, I'm gonna let him jump in while I pull it up. So it's NSCM 46. It's a leaked document in 1978. By the State Department, and the goal was to try to get people and Black Americans to think very poorly of the mainland Africa and vice versa. And so there's been a concerted propaganda campaign. So we always see the worst images of Africa, and they always see the worst images of us. And so that we don't have, it's also a concerted effort so that we don't identify with Africa, right? So I think this is honestly part of it. A concerted effort so that we don't identify internationally. So we have this very domestic view, this very foundational Black American that's disconnected from mainland Africa, and that looks at them as an enemy. So I think that's something that we're being fed, and it's a reason for that. Because what happens if we don't identify with Africa, we're two fractured groups, not knowing that. Truth be told, we're already part of the
No, we need better relationships between people here in America that are melanated and do business with people in Africa, because it better relations between like the relationships between Europeans and Africans is bad. Like they can't do no business with them. How, like, and how are you supposed to do business? Like if Africa was able to do proper business with people in America, like it would be, you would make a lot of black people rich by doing that. And you know they've been fighting that the whole time. That's why they've been trying to keep us in this circle of, we're not African, this and all that other stuff, because they don't want us linking out to some people that want to give us resources. Apparently they're telling us if we come
Mm.
to Ghana, they're going to give us free land and they're going to give us free citizenship. Hell yeah. Like,
but
because then you could tap into the resources, you could come back to America, you could instantly be a millionaire. And you
um,
don't even need US dollars over there. You go do work for them African people down there in Ghana, that they'll be like, hey, let me drop you a few diamonds and stuff, a bar of gold and stuff. Just make sure the stuff get done.
so white America doesn't really want us to know about. You only hear about it through Ghanaians. It's not like you hear about it through our federal government. Like Ghana promotes it, but then the federal government doesn't really want that to be out there, right? Because the truth of the matter is, I don't know if y'all see the screen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I can.
All right, and this is what it is. This happened in 1978, March 17, 1978. It was a leaked document.
Am I the only one that can't hear him?
Yeah, I think his screen froze.
Okay.
I think this is the time I could interject real quick. But anyways, I did my ancestry, and our ancestry been here all the way back to the 1600s. Um, I mean, we don't know anything else. Like, we've been here since the Revolutionary War, Civil War, Indian Removal Act, moved from here to there, all the way displaced out of Oklahoma right after the Tulsa riots. Our family moved out of Oklahoma because of all that stuff that was going on. Left Oklahoma, abandoned our lands and everything. And yeah, these people, they owe us money. There's 5 people living on our properties and stuff. They ain't paid taxes on nothing for like the last probably 60 years.
My bad. Can y'all see me and hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
you're good now.
Okay, I'm sorry. Y'all. All right. So yeah. So this right here is National Security Council Memorandum 46. And what it was it's a leaked document by the State Department. Um, and it really is it's targeted at, I'm gonna read it, Black Africa and the U.S. Black movement.
Mm.
So the president has directed a comprehensive review be made. I don't want to shrink it too small so you can't see it. The president has directed that a comprehensive.
Brother, you got to get whatever this is with your mic and your system fixed. You're like frozen at the moment.
I don't know. Am I dropping?
You're not dropping. You're just freezing. I don't know whatever's going on. It's going on, but
Yeah,
you're good.
you just keep on dropping out.
Yeah, you're good, and then you're not good. It all of a sudden started happening.
Okay. All right. So the
Speaking too much truth right now, they trying to shut you down.
so Black Africa and the U.S. movement. The president has directed that a comprehensive review be made of current developments in Black Africa. And I really don't want to. Okay. Black Africa, and from the point of view, their possible impacts on the Black movement in the United States. The review should consider, and this is what they really wanted, long-term tendencies of the social and political developments and the degree to which they are consistent with or contradict U.S. interests. Proposal of
Yeah.
favorable context between radical African leaders and leftist leaders in the black community. This is about Kwame Ture. This is about Malcolm X. This is about all these African leaders who were reaching out to the U.S. at the time, and they saw this as being a threat. So, in case I get knocked off, I mean, this is what the document looks like. It's called National Security Council Interdepartmental Group for Africa. And I'm gonna read a little bit of this.
When you get your native status, when you get your Native American status, man, and you become like a full-blown Native American, they definitely pull up with, the police cars sitting in front of your house, watching you, everything you do. Yeah, that's real.
And I mean, like I said, I know there's a lot of stories that haven't been told. But the reason why I think this is being pushed, like, it's not so we can have an understanding. Because the thing about it is, they use pictures like Shonda Buchanan, for instance. They use pictures of all of these people in native garb. But the problem with the Webo movement, to me, is they don't identify the people. They don't like say who they are and tell a story. Like, I mean, I cover Afro history. So I actually cover the tribe. I go through the history. The people in those tribes, they identify, they recognize they have some African heritage, because they have some members who don't look like them, right? So they know that they're mixed. But nobody, y'all don't cover, like, collectively as a community, they don't cover those people. It's all these pictures of this woman named Shonda Buchanan, who I'm Instagram friends with.
Yeah.
Really intelligent, really beautiful woman, but they use her pictures and nobody tells her story. Because y'all don't care about her. A lot of them don't care about her story. They just want to use her picture to say I'm not African.
So that's pictures. It's pictures without context.
Right, that's what the whole gimmick is, right?
They will steal your own ancestors' pictures and use it for other purposes too.
I mean, and here's my next thing. I don't know if this would work. I really want to have Afro, like you, for instance, because I think you have a unique story, Jay Bryce. I would like the next chapter to look like I got a whole bunch of Afro indigenous people, right, who legitimately have stakes in tribal nations, mixed race heritage. I want them to also call some of this craziness out. Call these.
My family was involved in the Revolutionary War. My family was involved in Tuskegee experiments, Tuskegee Airmen. They were involved with any type of history, Civil War, Indian Removal Act, whatever it is you read in history books. Like, we've been here the whole time, going through the whole shebang, this whole American story. And like I said earlier, they call us all types of things. They call us Negroes. They call us Native Americans. They say, oh, you're the tribes of Israel. All types of crap.
I don't know about
but it's like, what is the purpose? What is the agenda? What is it? In my instance, if you ever been to Sacramento, California, if you ever see all that symbolism and everything you was showing on the video earlier, that's all around the city. That's all we know. That's all that this whole thing is about. It goes from one side of history all the way into a complete circle.
I just want you to know, brother. So here's my take. So I want you to know, and I want you to word out. You have, just looking at you, you look mixed race to me. You have African heritage, bro.
Hold on, let me pull my camera up. I can't find the camera thing, just so that the person that's on here, he can see my picture and stuff like that. So,
yeah, to me, he looks
late because I turned my camera off earlier.
So I mean, I think you got a unique story. It's not everybody's story though, bro.
Yeah.
I think everybody wants to be that story. Everybody wants to have this unique, interesting. My family's really from Oklahoma, and they really are like, that's not the average person. Most people are just making this stuff up as they go along. They like the gimmick.
What would you do?
Well, wait, it's beyond.
That's just one story. All of Oklahoma, they were chasing down everybody throughout the whole state. It wasn't just Tulsa. They only leave that one story.
Well,
Like
I think the
our
convert.
farmland, like we had 180 acres. They burnt that shit to the ground. That's an untold story. Nobody didn't tell that story, and that's not even in Tulsa. It wasn't just in Tulsa. It was just anybody who had land and anybody that was a certain skin color. They went and scared us all out, and we most some people went to different parts. We ended up in California.
So here's the thing that here's the conversation. I guess this is the reason for the work. I think I don't. This is our first conversation, brother. So I don't know, but at least in some of the work that I do, or some of the research I'm engaged in, or some of the conversations I'm engaged in, it is like many people of African descent, melanated brothers and sisters over here that are legitimately descendants of people that come out of the diaspora. We have been conditioned to have an unconscious bias against being African. And so then
Yeah.
whenever we hear a narrative that takes us from Africa, we latch onto that narrative. Now, your story is very unique, not discounting your story. It's like the brother said, many of the
We
brothers and
grew up
sisters.
in
Wait, wait,
like
wait,
our
wait. Let
whole
me let me
culture is
finish. Let me
wrapped
finish.
around.
But let me finish. Many brothers and sisters are explaining this narrative as if though that's the dominant narrative. Like your narrative, your personal narrative and your family history is a very unique narrative that many people may share, but is questionable as whether or not it's the dominant narrative. The
It's
dominant
in the
narrative,
history books.
yeah, for the majority of brothers and sisters of melanated skin over here, they came through the African diaspora. Not to
Yeah.
negate, that doesn't negate the melanated brothers and sisters that were here already. But then it's just a matter of doing your research and finding out where you come from, and then having those. I wanted to speak on this earlier. I was holding off because then when brothers and sisters engage in those battles to get the money owed to them, it becomes a mess, because then you have like,
Yeah.
yeah, I remember there's one. I was researching this one story
It's a
where
total
there was a
mess.
family, there was a government. The government was going to give the family reparations and rights to casino land,
Mm.
and then all of a
Well,
sudden,
who's a
wait,
native
wait,
and who's not?
wait. Well, let me finish. Let me finish. And then at another point in time, possibly in another conversation, I'll come up with the details. But from what I can remember, they were basing whether or not they were basing the Native American heritage based upon census records taken in like the eight, like these certain decades. Like there was a census taken in like from 1870, 1880, 1890. So then
That's
they were
how I
in
got mine is
1900,
in
1910.
1970.
Well, right. And then so what they ended up doing was, instead of using census records, they used some census records from 1890 versus 1880. And that was primarily because during that time in 1880, there was melanated brothers and sisters on tribal land at that time, and they were
Hmm.
this was an illegal case that was taking place in 1990 or 1978, one of those two. But there was two families that was fighting in order to get recognized as being a part of this tribe. And then what they were doing were looking at these census records. And what ended up happening was, in the 1880s, there were the people of African descent on this land that was tribal land, and they were counted in the inside the tribe. But because of lack of work, some of those people of African descent migrated to other areas in order to get work. And so for the 1890 census, they were in the land. And so what the more now you had the three types of kind of Native Americans. You have like the full-blooded, those that are mixed with European, and those that are mixed with white. And typically the ones that are mixed with Europeans, at least from this book that I was reading, tend to have a higher status, and so on and so forth. Anyway, the mixed Europeans ones, they made that argument to count the 1890 census versus the 1880 census,
They
specifically
won't
because they
go
knew
by
that.
their bloodline.
Wait, let me just tell you
Like
this.
they
Let me just
won't
tell
draw
you
your
this one
blood.
story. I'm not telling you the dominant story. I'm telling you the one history of people
Okay.
and their efforts to
Yeah.
get recognized as, being of native descent, and the battles that have to be fought once you do that recognition. So anyway, the family, because they knew that the descendants migrated after the 1880 census to find work, and they weren't on the 1890 census, they said that they had to count from the 1890 census. And so because that family lineage was not on that 1890 census, they were discounted from being able to receive the reparations and being able to be a part of this casino land. And then you gotta give me some time. I'll come back in the comments at another point in time and put that down. But this was in a book that I got called Black Indians by, I forget, it was like some sister that wrote the book. But
I think
just
I've
speaking
heard
to
of that
the,
book.
yeah, this is just speaking to, once you reclaim your Native American heritage and then you're talking about money and things owed to you, there's battles to be fought inside that arena in and of itself. So melanated brothers and sisters, wherever we find ourselves, we always have to deal with issues. But there's this dominant conversation though. That's a particular group of people. Some of that is related to the 5 civilized tribes and their relationship
The
with
battle's
slavery,
just begun.
yeah, and so on and so forth. And there does need to be research done for brothers and sisters with your story, but then we also need to stop this narrative that there was no African diaspora, there was no slave trade, and we do not have a connection with Africa, because that disconnects us from
Slavery
the greater
really
history.
didn't happen the way that they said it happened.
So just to jump in real quick. So a lot of what brought me into this whole thing was Dan Calloway, right? And I was looking into some of his old videos, right? So his videos from 2016. So if you look at his old videos from 2016, and this is what I personally believe based on what my observation of this whole entire thing was new, by the way. This all came to tuition around the time the reparations debate reaches the forefront. Because Dan Calloway's early videos, if you play his early videos, he does not deny the transatlantic slave trade. Now that's his main thing now, to deny the Africans the transatlantic slave trade and where the boats and all this other stuff. But if you play his old videos back, he does not deny it.
How do you put all them people on that boat on that long ass journey without killing them?
So like I said, in his early videos, he does not deny the transatlantic slave trade.
Okay,
but he
I didn't know that.
On why he changes and evolves his position. All of a sudden,
they keep everything else in history but the slave ships. Come on.
Wait. Let him finish.
So, like I said, 2016, you play his 2016 videos, you'll see he's clearly confirming Africanity. He says that the Indians were slaves were first, and then Africans came after, and then they became blended. And what did he say? He said they became one merged people. And their identities became merged, right? But he's recognizing Africanity, right? That was his 2016 videos. He skipped from that now to the next year, totally denying Africanity. What boats? Look what your grandmom said. All kind of crazy. So he shifted, and his videos all of a sudden became really nice, like these really elaborate things. So like I said, that's my personal thing. Is this stuff came into to the forefront around 2017. Around 2017, 2016, you start to see the stuff come to the forefront. Before then, you don't see much of that. Even the people that were claiming this position, they didn't deny Africanity. Like I didn't see any of this until about 2017 to that reparation debate starts to hit the forefront.
I've heard Africans say that we're not African, like they don't relate themselves to us or anything.
Well, you got to understand, the narrative in American history has been to disconnect us from our cultural heritage. Because when African and then I find that I want to come back to what you just said, because honestly, I'm gonna tell you, like, I just engaged in this conversation for the last 2 months. Like I came across this, but let me respond to that one question. In order to make a slave, they had to break them from what they knew. And so breaking us from our African cultural heritage made us as a people weaker in reference to, like, we didn't have a heritage or culture to call upon to give us strength. And we know that culture gives people strength because when we look at the Africans that come over here from the continent, they come over here and they start making powerful moves. But not even them. We can just look at any other indigenous people that come to America that retain their understanding of their history and heritage. They make power moves because they do not have an oppressed type of consciousness yet. And so they have a sense of pride about them that African Americans that was taken from those of us engaged in, the slave trade or engaged in this capitalistic form of slavery, so to speak. And so it was very important for them to take our identity, our cultural identity away. And then so when you see people of African descent in America, you're 9 times out of 10, unless they are culturally conscious, they're not going to identify with Africa. I think Runoko Rashidi, no, Runoko Rashidi, was it Runoko? No, it was I forget his name at the moment. He wrote Visions for Black Men. Most of the people now, they think our history starts in a cotton patch in Georgia. That's where they think African history begins, and so our Black history begins. And so, but they do not want to identify in any shape, form, or fashion with Africa, because in their minds, Africa is a savage land. Now, I didn't run across this Native American conversation till a few months ago. Like, I was listening to this one brother, he was talking some wild stuff. Like, it was things I never heard before because I hadn't
Yeah,
researched
I'm
it.
living proof right here. Living proof.
You're living proof of a unique history, though, that needs to be
Yeah.
studied, and then
They
to
don't
use the
know
brother to
nothing
use the
about
brother's
it.
words to use the brother's words, in context, to study the intersectionality of the dynamics that happened between Africans and Native Americans,
See,
people of
that's what
African
I'm trying
descent
to
and Native
understand.
Americans. And so we have to look at that. We have to look at that and not deny the heritage that's there. But there are some people that are denying the heritage. You see, we can acknowledge that there's been relationships between Native Americans and Africans and maybe some Afro-Indigenous people on the continent without denying, the African heritage of other brothers and sisters. But there is this
We've been trying to
denial,
work
but there's
out
this
treaties
denial
with the
process that's
colonizers.
going on as well.
All right, so just to give you an example, Jay Bryce. All right, so for instance, if a black person, if a black grandma, your great grandmother said, "We have Irish in the family, we have Scottish in the family," right? That does you would not just go and put a kilt on and say, "I'm Irish" or "I'm Scottish."
No.
Nobody would do that, right? But for some reason, people think if grandma mentions that we have such and such in our bloodline, right? That
Yes.
means I can deny Africanity. Like that gives you license to deny Africanity. And I'm now
Okay.
a feather headdress on and misrepresent Native Americans, not even know what I'm putting on my head, because grandma said something. You know what I mean? Like that's not a legitimate. That means that it's a specific part. Depending on how accurate that claim is, it's a specific part of one great grandmother, by the way, or one great grandfather, by the way, a specific part of your lineage. Very, very specific, a fraction at that. It does not mean that you deny Africanity, and people are now doing this using these sound bites to deny Africanity. Oh, my grandmother said mentioned that we have such and such in our heritage. Like I said, it wouldn't be true for any other group on the planet. Like you said,
Well,
you mentioned Japanese, right?
yeah,
So that would be the same as you stating I'm a Japanese person, right? Like
I do identify with that culture. Yes, I do identify with Asians too.
absolutely. But you didn't introduce yourself as a Japanese person, did you? Right.
No,
So I'm stating that intersectionalities do not mean that you deny Africanity, and that's the debate we're having now. We have people just flat out saying there's no boats. We were just here. We're all I'm Choctaw and such and such and such and such and whatever other thing they say. Um, while denying just reality and taking grandma out of context.
or our main cultural heritage doesn't come from Japan. That was just one person out of many people that interjected into our family. My grandfather, he decided to marry a Japanese woman because he was sent to Japan. And that was after World War II during the Vietnam War. And he actually got a Purple Heart, all the other stuff, got shot in the ass, trying to save people, a helicopter, come fly in, come pick up wounded soldiers, all that stuff. Anyways, pointless war.
But you stated my point, bro. Like you said, what you said right now is my point. My point is,
He went to Japan and he married a Japanese woman, and that happened to be many people. I mean, we have Irish people that our family married. We have British people that were married to our family. We have Caribbean people that were married to our family. We had many cultures and races of people that's been married to our family that makes what we are. as
That's the
Americans, I guess.
in context. And the problem with this thing now is not context. We're losing people are just denying Africanity. And like he said, like this is a problem. I pulled up something else just now. Because I don't every time I spoke about the
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say there. I'm glad you put that up here.
Oh, wait. Back to what I said earlier. How long do you have to be in a certain place or on a continent to be called indigenous?
But so he answered your question earlier. Like you cannot have been brought to that area and be called indigenous to that area.
No, we
You
weren't
had
brought
to.
here. We've been here
No, no,
before
no,
there
no.
was the United States Constitution.
Right. So you had to have you have to have been here to be indigenous to the
We were the
land,
first
meaning you're here.
people here before European contact.
So here's the thing about it. So let me give you kind of your Japanese ancestry was not here before the such and such, right? That's the Irish. You said you mentioned some European groups, right? The European wasn't here before European contact, right?
Okay, that's a tricky one because the Irish part they were black, but they weren't like the Irish people you think of today. They weren't white Irish people.
So I'm gonna get.
There were black people in Ireland that did move to America.
So the term Black Irish means a person with very dark hair and a little bit of an olive tint to their skin.
I would say my great grandfather almost looked like you almost.
When they say I'm Black Irish, bro, you probably they probably meant a person with dark hair, thick dark hair, and a certain that's a little bit more distinct. Definitely not a Congoid or Negroid African person.
No, I looked up the picture because I was trying to figure this out, and I went through all the records and everything. He had property in the United States and in Ireland, but he's an indigenous person here that bought land in Ireland at one point, and then during the 1700s they kicked him out of Ireland and he came back to the United States.
So what's his name?
Your last name Dixon.
Okay, that's a European name.
Dixon.
That's a European.
What is his first name?
Because
that seems to be a story that
I want to say George Dixon.
Because that seems to be a story that could be looked up. Like we should be able to.
I got all the documents. Like I already been through the birth certificates from one person to another to another to another.
Right, but that would be a very unique. That would be like a very unique story in history for a person to. No, I'm not denying that either. But for a person to have come from the Americas, bought land in Ireland, and then to have been kicked out again, that would have been a very unique story.
Yeah, they said get the hell out of here, all you guys.
So I just want to just bring it all together, bro. So I mean, just to say, you're recognizing that your family is different intersectionalities, different groups, different things that make you who you are. You're saying some of that is indigenous.
Everyone has a unique history. Mine isn't unique from anyone else's. If you dive deep into your history, you'll find out some pretty weird stuff.
So what I'm stating is, bro, listen what I'm stating. I'm stating is unique intersectionality is different things happening, and there's admixture, right? You look like I can see visible admixture, and what I'm stating is some of that is indigenous, right? It's not very common for the average Afro descendant to have significant indigenous ancestry. Not common.
Yeah,
not at all. Not at all.
And despite the myth, it is most of us have, if single digits, indigenous ancestry. So most of us are primarily African and European. So we're not indigenous to the land. The indigenous people to the land are the people, those First Nations. And you obviously said you have some heritage. Those people are distinct, right? They have an exclusive story. They were removed. Other people came as captives and other stories, but that's a very unique story. They're not to be merged with everybody else. And the indigenous people warrant that specific recognition as First Nations. Same for people in Australia. The same for the Negrito in South Asia.
Back to the Jamaicans, though.
They deserve to be recognized as an indigenous group. even by the UN. So, like I said, we don't want to just merge everything together. The problem is we're calling every black person saying they're indigenous now. Like according to this philosophy, I'm indigenous. We're all Aboriginal, a term that was never used more than 5 years, right?
That's true.
So, I mean, like I said,
I didn't get my native citizenship until 3 years ago.
huh?
I didn't get my native citizenship until 3 years ago.
And
But brother Bryce, do you understand what he's trying to say?
Yeah,
That
I
this
know what
kind,
he's trying to say. Like,
yeah,
you
that
know, like
everybody
at
else is
one point they
negating the
weren't talking
African
about it.
heritage.
Like, I wasn't worried about it or wasn't even thinking about it or anything about my heritage until about like 3 years ago when everybody started talking about it.
so I guess I'm gonna reply to you again. So your heritage does not have anything. That paper, that card that you have, that's good, right? You have that card, but your heritage supersedes that card, right? Um,
Changes the laws a little bit.
yeah, it might change in terms of the way people will respond to you in terms of policy, but like I said, we gotta respect First Nations. That's just the main thing I'm gonna walk with, and we also gotta respect African. That's the main thing that I'm coming out with. We just gotta honor.
Oh, I mean, I love my African brethren and stuff like that. I'm not against them or anything else like that.
I'm saying Africanity. I'm talking about the Africanity that you inherited from your parents as well, right? And
Oh
that's
yeah,
that's the problem that we're having right now. We need champions, people like you, bro, especially people like you, to come forward to share your unique story, but to say, listen, my story is not the only story. We need to preserve our ancestor. You know what I'm saying? Because
yeah.
everybody doesn't have those. Everybody doesn't. Everybody's not from Oklahoma. Everybody doesn't have these very unique things going on with their heritage. And they're trying to use this as a way to deny. We just got to put a stop to this. That's all. So, like I said, I'm calling you to be a champion of truth, bro. That's what I'm calling on you to do. We need as many people right now, especially people with those intersectionalities, maybe a tribal photo to come forward and say, listen, I respect
So
still my culture.
we're about to go back to Oklahoma, but we're definitely going to take back our tribe. We're going to take back our lands, and we're going to vote out these people that claim to be our chiefs since we've been gone for so long. But yeah, we're definitely going back there, and we encourage other people to do the same, get their native citizenship, and go out there and vote in their tribes and reclaim their land.
You mind if I share?
Yo, wait, brothers. I gotta make my exit. But brother, I definitely wanted to connect with you at another point. Maybe we could do one or two more shows together on this, or just even support you in this work. Because it's definitely work that needs to be done. These narratives are going out, and there's not a lot of counter narratives besides the ones in academia, in popular culture and around social media, teaching brothers and sisters their connection to Africa. So, much respect, much love to you, brother Bryce, and understanding your history. But definitely want to work with you on that, and then keep this. Appreciate you and your efforts, brother.
Yeah, definitely. So we got to do a live together, me
Uh,
and you, Cosmic. Okay,
this is
All
my
right.
first live.
a lot to bring to the table, man. I enjoyed talking to you.
Likewise. All right, brothers. Peace.
Be safe, man.
All right.
All right, so I'm gonna wrap this up. I'm just gonna show one more thing. This right here is something a lot of people don't know. We're part of the diaspora, right? The diaspora, it's 5 regions of the AU, and we're the 6th region. And I guess next time I go into it, but like I said, I mean, my argument was we have some interesting there's some interesting intersectionalities of Jamaica and Ghana, all right, and the presidents, they were speaking about the heritage, um, and it's something to it. So I'm just encouraging everybody to look at those unique intersectionalities. Yes, there is some traces of indigenous in heritage in Jamaican people. There is an indigenous group that still exists in Jamaica of mixed heritage. It's another one in the Dominican Republic. They exist. Brown people with significantly straighter hair, of mixed race heritage. It's not the whole island though. And we need to hear their stories out. They still speak the language, by the way. I mean, so I just encourage everybody to do the work and look up these groups and learn about them.
I
Um,
definitely encourage more Africans or people from the diaspora and many people of many cultures to come to America, come to Jamaica, come to and help enrich the culture that's here that we already have established. And just we can all live in peace and stuff like that. I mean, we wouldn't be able to do many of the things that we were capable of doing, without people coming from Africa or coming from the Caribbeans to the Americas or North America or South America or Central America. um, we want more people coming to what is known as America, North America too, and bring new ideas and bring in culture. Because I could tell you one thing, in my city, these white people, they claim that they have culture, but it's dull as hell.
and here's the thing too, bro. I think I would like this. Here's what I would love to do. I want stories out there. I want everybody's story because I'm sure I just got a little bit of inkling of your story, a little tidbit of your story, right?
Yeah.
Um, I don't know your story, right? We got to get these stories out here. It's some incredible stories out here of ancestry. Um, kind of build off of what grandmom said, tie the DNA with it, tie the Africanity.
Mhm.
You definitely got to preserve our African heritage. That's what most of us overwhelmingly are African by heritage. But just tell
Yeah.
these. It's a lot of interesting stories I think that we got out there. Nobody's telling the stories, and that's why we got a lot of this craziness, right? As Native Americans who
Mhm.
exist, we don't know their stories. They still speak the language, they still have the culture and the customs, and we're sitting there saying they're frauds. So we gotta. I mean, so I would like the next time if you ever join us again, I want to hear your story, right? Um,
Okay.
I want you to just come out and just tell us something about your heritage because we got a little bit of that Oklahoma history, but I think that we're better people when we hear these stories out.
There's Civil War stories. There's American Revolution stories. There's Tuskegee stories. Donald Trump stories. There's
Tell,
there's nothing that that we
I'm
couldn't go through.
talking about you, bro. Talking about your lineage, and I think when we get these stories out there,
It's been all through our family history's been all through the history books.
well, that's
Is
good, man.
everything that's American history and everything. And they put a different face on it every time. They take our stories and they make it theirs, and you don't see our face on there. You see their face.
We got to get our story out there, brother. But I enjoyed talking to you, man. We got to do this again. I'm gonna invite you on again, and hopefully give you a little bit of advance notice, and we can go into the stories, man. That's what I really want to focus on, man, because
Yeah,
it's
we
not.
just did this off of Instagram, and I was like, I ain't never did this. I had to figure this out.
All right, man. Well, I enjoyed this build, man. On this note, everybody. Hopefully we learned something today. Every time I do a broadcast, I want us to learn something. This was a good build, and I hope to talk to you again, bro. All right.
Okay, all right, next time.
All right, but y'all have a good night, everybody. Okay, just to wrap it up, man. I think I'm still live. Yeah, just to wrap it up, we gotta get these stories out. I'm gonna here we go. Yeah, so on that note, I'm going to make sure every couple throughout the week, I'm going to try to get new people on. We got to do something about this false information. We got way too much false information in our community. We we're challenging people's indigenous status, which is disrespectful. We're disrespecting our ancestors, but not honoring our African heritage. So my hope is in the near future, we'll get we'll get more people on like him. This wasn't a debate. I don't really want to debate. I want us to hear the stories out. I want us to tell our stories about our genealogy, our lineage, our family triumphs, and their unique heritage. And I think when we get these stories out there, we're better people for it. Because a lot of this stuff is anchored out of ignorance. So on that note, everybody, you have a good night, and I will be logging on tomorrow. Okay, y'all be safe.